Hello. Now you can hear me. Hello. Trying to make my. Here it is. Oh, wait. Trying to get my iPad on here. It's not showing up. What's up, Elijah? Oh, that's me. Jesus Christ. Tell you what, let's just do this. Let's throw this whole thing out. I probably should have done this before I started live streaming. Let's do this. Display, I'm sure. Is it this one? Oh no. I'm trying to add my iPad and I don't know. I forgot how to do it. General sources, media file, window capture, stream, alert box event. Wait. I'm gonna answer that in a minute. Thoughts on abortion. I'm gonna answer that in a minute, man. Oop. So let me try this. It's not showing up. It was just here for iPad, and now it's not here anymore. It's just showing me now, or the FaceTime camera. Oh, now I'm gone. Uh-oh. Jesus Christ, dude. What the fuck? Okay. Oh, God. This is horrible. So let's just hide that one. Let's look it up. How to add iPad on Streamlabs OBS. Let's do it on live stream. How to add iPad on. I cannot wait. Here's the thing. I can't wait for like 10 or 15 years to go by to where like the younger generation can just start making a lot of this shit. Who just grew up with cell phones, because you got too many older people making this shit and it just made it way too difficult to just do like basic shit that you just want to do. I just can't wait till like I can't wait until the older populations, like people like in my age bracket and older, just like die off. So like the younger people can just make simple shit that didn't grow up in a time period where, oh, if it's more difficult then that must mean it's better kind of thing. I can't wait till like the old populations just die off and just get out. I don't want to use it as a secondary camera. iPad screen. Full rate utilize lightning. Yeah, that's what I did. iPad has a care of projecting. Yeah, see, this is just ridiculous. Because it was just showing up. I don't know why it's not here now. It was just here with iPad in here, and maybe that's just the wrong thing. Like it's just too difficult. Like I don't know why. Like again, I can't wait till that population just dies the fuck off. Or that just doesn't know how to make shit just like approachably, reasonably decent for what people are actually just going to use. Is this going to work? Let's try this. Is there iPad? iPad? Docs, but nope. Let's see, iPad now. Jesus Christ, it's not here. A deception. I'm gonna try one more time. Output, can't would it be in display capture? Oof. Yeah, this is horrible. And now it's showing, yeah, this is ridiculous, dude. This is horrible. Now my mouse isn't fucking Jesus Christ. Get this shit off of here. And I'm kind of curious. Is it even? Oh well, fuck it. Anyway, so that didn't work. Something that should not be that difficult is overly difficult for no goddamn reason. Oh, that's right. I turned off the internet on the computer. Okay. So, we're stuck with this. Now I really want to try it out. I really want to figure this out now. Because video capture device, that's going to be the camera. Pretty certain it's going to be. Yeah, this is not right. Dude, just to this should not be this difficult to figure out. This is horrible. Because I used to have it set up. I don't know why it's not just working. But that's Streamlabs, dude. Like never ever pay for this shit. Just never don't pay for it. It's horrible. Like the most basic shit it just doesn't work. Like it'll just spontaneously combust, won't work. For no reason. No explanation. Just stop working. Why to stop working? Who knows? It's Streamlabs. But yeah, so we live. Because what I wanted to do was talk about the situation of what nice is, right? Because nice. Hang on. Because nice. Okay, maybe that was it. I think I just fixed it. Or figured it out. But the concept of nice is really a very misunderstood reasoning. Oh, I'm probably gonna lose the screen again. Yeah, lost it. So the concept of nice, in my opinion, is a really weird situation, right? So I was teaching today, and I had a guy. He's a high up in his company, right? And he was worried about how to send emails to people that pretty much said like they fucked up on their job, right? And so I figured, okay, maybe he just doesn't know these words, whatever. And so I start going through the words with him to explain, just because he said his issue was just using the word good or bad, like he never really used like any other words. So I said, okay, so well, there's excellent, there's amazing, and I explained to him good can mean like yeah, technically you did the job, but you didn't do it like amazingly well. So like after I explained all this to him, he clearly knew the words, right? He clearly knew these words in English. So I was like, okay, like, and that's when I caught on. I said, oh, wait a minute, like, your problem is not knowing the words in English. I think your issue is more you just don't want to tell people that they did something wrong. That I think that was the real issue. And then he starts opening up and going, yeah, yeah, that's what it is. Like I don't feel like I belong. Because I asked him if he felt like he had imposter syndrome. Because yeah, I feel like I don't belong here. Like because he from what I could gather, like he pretty much grew up, not rich. He grew up knowing that poverty exists, kind of thing. He didn't. I don't think he grew up in poverty, but he grew up knowing poverty was there, and and so he's always kind of worried. So he's always, he he knows how to associate with people who work beneath him, because he from what I gathered, he kind of grew up as one of those people, right? But he found himself now as a higher up in his company, which is a beautiful company. I'm teaching in there, and I switched it from a teaching session to a therapist session about what his fears really were in this context, right? And at the core, like most, here's the thing, and because I had to keep reassuring him what he felt was normal, like it's perfectly fine to feel like this, no matter what age you are. Like it's perfectly fine to feel like you don't belong. You don't really want to tell anybody. You just get tired of being a leader. You get tired of being the leader at whatever it is. And it's perfectly normal. It's his first time, so I kept trying to reassure him that what he's feeling is everybody goes through this. Most people will either go through this now or they'll go through a huge crash later on in life when, for whatever reason, that leadership just is stripped away from them for whatever reason, right? But the concept of nice, right? The theory of nice is a very misleading theory, right? So the concept of nice, first by definition, is pretty much just to be pleasant, just to be eventful, pleasant, accepting, these things, right? But in reality, in practice, being nice with especially when used to justify some kind of means to an end in some kind of way, or to just get to a destination, when you're working with other humans and you're working at a goal to get something done, well, being nice is not always, well, it's just not a direct road that society, movies, media, people, parents try to push off onto people, right? So for an example, let's just use trying to get pussy. Like, you be nice to a woman thinking you'll get pussy, and she doesn't like you because you're nice, right? But this happens in all the world, right? Like, being nice, like just being nice, just as yourself in the world, and then expecting to be treated nicely back doesn't really. I think that's just a complete false teaching. I think the people who teach it never really gave it much thought. The whole concept of trying to treat people nice in 100% expecting that they'll all take it, receive it as you being nice, and then treat you back nice, and then it'd be like a genuinely nice environment, is just completely false, in my opinion. Um, um, because let's say you have a group of 30 people, right? Let's say you're running 30 people. Well, you can go in there and try to be nice, right? Well, what's going to happen is, 10 of them may think they want you to be nice, but when you're actually nice to them, they just disregard you later. Another 10 may don't they just may not even respond to nice at all, just ignore you completely, or just like lose respect for you for real. The other 8 may be in the middle, and 2 people might genuinely pick up on you being nice, how you're being nice, the way you're being nice, take it as you being nice, and actually return the niceness back to you, right? And here's the thing, even in that entire road path of just the 2 out of 30 who actually took it that way, there's so many stops along that path that can just veer off and could be completely lost in translation, to where none of them will have seen it as being nice on any level at all, right? So let's just take, for example, in a one-on-one scenario, right? I'm nice to you, right? And as a stereotype, I expect you to sit there, receive it in a nice way, think about it in a nice way, and reply to me in a nice way. That way we have a nice ecosystem of niceness going on between us, right? That theory in itself is so severely flawed. It I don't think it should be taught in this way ever again. I think you have a far more chance of things going wrong than you do of them going right, right? In the method of being nice to get equally nice back and all this shit like that, right? Because okay, again, let's say if I talk to you and I'm nice, like, hi, Mister, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's a nice, pair of shoes you have on. How's your day going? Well, you could have taken that as, well, maybe I'm being sarcastic because because somebody else maybe made fun of your shoes, and now you think I'm focusing on your shoes because I really don't like them. But you're worried about me not taking it nicely, so you try to fake a niceness response back, and you fake a niceness response saying, "Oh, hey, yeah, my day's going good, and thanks for the compliment." And now you're thinking that now that you considered the niceness and maybe got misunderstood in you, and then you replied back. Now I'm taking it as, oh well, maybe they don't like me now because they misunderstood my niceness. See, there's so many areas, so many stops between just one-on-one communication where niceness is out of your control, and how the ending result's going to be is just completely out of your control, right? Just in a one-on-one conversation, there's so many roads where that can just fall off. There's infinitely more roads where that can fall off than where it can be successful in the terms of how it's taught to children, people, adults, whatever, right? Um, um, and I think it's something that just doesn't really get focused on. It's these small little areas that I think humanity's just kind of learned to just kind of skip over in hopes to just have better dreams at night. That this is why so much of the society is just severely confused, today. I strongly believe that. Let me see if I can try to get this iPad up working one more time, because I feel like I can explain it better through a drawing than I can through talking, because I think it'd be easier to see it if my iPad would show up. I think it'd be easier to see it if it was written down. Just how quickly communication can just completely fuck up. I'm gonna try to Google it one more time. Look this up. That one, yeah, not AirPlay. Streaming an iPad screen. Let's try this one. Because I have it plugged in. It's just not showing up. Let's just look at this video real fast. Oof. Yeah, see, these are all going to be like, how do you live stream from an iPad? Jesus Christ. Because I feel like that would be something that would be much easier to explain if you've seen it written out instead of me just using words. Because it'll be, I think it's just going to be harder to just to follow with just words. It's something that needs to be written down on a board. But communication is one of those things that I think, here's the thing: communication is so infinitely deep that I think we've just tried to oversimplify it. And then by oversimplifying it, we're giving it too much attention in all the wrong areas, right? And just trying to sum up, and trying to just sum up things. What's up, Gaines Day? Thanks for making it, man. Um, and I think society on a whole, these are just basic areas. I think society on a whole should really, what society on a whole never likes to think. So you're never going to get many people to really, even waste time thinking about it, because most people will just see it as a waste of time. Also, why do people judge what they misunderstand? Well, people judge everything, but why do people judge what they misunderstand? Well, okay. Elijah Pippen, the reason why most people are going to judge what they misunderstand is this is going to be a very common thing in many forms of psychology. You're going to usually fear what you don't understand or misunderstand, because as a defense mechanism for your own survival, right? Like if you don't understand it, then there's a chance it may kill you, right? And if it may kill you, you don't want to die, right? So your first instinct, if you don't understand something, is usually to fear it. It must be evil, like technology. Technology is the same thing all throughout history, right? This is why personally I've never been a fan of any health trends. I've never been a strong fan of any diets. I've tried some diets, but I've never been a fan, and I never will be. And I'll tell you why in a second. I was telling my spouse this a few days ago. And I ended up talking her to sleep because, this is actual knowledge. And the last thing women hate is factual knowledge, especially when it's a chance it might prove, when they might fall into it. Women don't like that. But yeah, I've never been a fan of any diets. I've never been a fan, even when it comes to like, protein shakes, taking a water bottle. I don't understand why people take water bottles to gyms. I just seen that, and I really thought about why are you bringing a water bottle to the gym? Like, I don't really understand the reasoning behind that. Like all these little things that like either go towards health or like are a symbol of health in some kind of way. I've never been a fan of it, and the reason why is because so I told you guys, I think last week, I used to always study like crime things, and it usually comes down to the same two or three things every time. Love, money. That's usually about it. Love, money, and I say a close third is popularity. It's usually these crimes are usually going to revolve around those three things: popularity, which you can pretty much tie money into popularity, but not always. But I would say not enough to make them just completely one. But I would say money, popularity, and love slash heartbreak is usually going to be the core of all crime, of the vast majority of crimes, right? Or you can substitute money with wealth for whatever reason, right? You can substitute. I say wealth, love, and popularity, social status. Those are the three major forms of currency that will get somebody killed, right, or seriously hurt in the vast majority of crimes, right? Either something was wrong with theirs or they wanted somebody else's. So when it comes to like these health fads, these health diets, never been a fan of them. And I tell you exactly where it started, where my mind started to click about when I really started to give it thought about these health fads, health diets, these types of things. I remember playing Fable. If anybody ever, shout out to anybody who's ever played Fable. It's a video game, right? But the video game is based in like this, I would say it's pretty much like an early medieval kind of time period. Maybe middle medieval, maybe like what was it? Maybe like the 13th century. I get it all confused, but it's somewhere between like these maybe like 11th to like 14th century kind of years, right? And you're walking up the street, and there's always like some guy advertising some weird, some health, because what they thought was healthy back then. Like you should bleed yourself at least once a week because it's a proper healthy diet to do it, because that's what they thought back then. And of course they were wildly off for the vast majority of the population. So I was telling my spouse, yeah, like these things, because my spouse, she's into these, she's a woman, so she's always, whenever some healthy, in shape white woman says there's some diet trend and it must be true. But if I say it, who actually has a degree in some shit, then it's not true. Right? It has to be some healthy white woman who said it. And it's like, yeah, better get my antioxidants. But if I say it, then it doesn't mean anything. Right? It's just how it goes. Because I told her, so have you ever noticed the people who are always walking around who just blindly believe this shit, they usually are the people who have no actual education in these fields at all, except reading like a Yahoo article and maybe like a couple YouTube videos, and now they know everything about vitamins now, right? It's always these people. It's never like the people who actually studied the shit who walk around saying It's never those people. Very rarely do you get these people. It's always like the people who these guys on Instagram and Facebook and this shit. It's always the people who they probably couldn't even spell amino acid and they up here selling you vitamins. Like that one woman who I did a while back who said she was selling vitamins for a living and was paying for a house and raising 3 kids. It's always those people who are all about health, right, and don't know anything about it at all. It's always that group. So I was telling her how so she didn't notice, but people over since the beginning of time were always going on about how uh I don't know, it'll be some anything crazy, it'd just be some of the most outlandish. Now I'm not saying all of it's bullshit. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm sure there is some logic for some people in the world where it's actually worked. But for the vast majority of people, it's a complete waste of time. And I've never been a fan of diets. It's just me. I've never been a fan of diets. I've never been a fan of, not in the sense of like my life will be better if if I add, if I go over the top with taking, 4 multivitamins a day, 3 protein shakes, 8, whatever the fucks. Like when it gets to that level, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Dr. Oz said it the best. He said all you need is vitamin A, B, C, D, and E. And get you some fish from time to time, get you some milk from time to time, and your body will take care of the rest. Right? All these these skin ointments have been around for literally thousands of years. People from fucking ever, from the Egyptians to the Greeks, they was bathing in olive oil, all this, and all of them dead. All these people throughout history who claim that they rub beta carotene on their skin, they bathed in olive oil, all of them sitting down there dead. So what does that tell you? What did it really do for them? Like, you mean, like, it's just like, I've never been a fan of it. And like I said, the first time it triggered was when I was playing that video game that was based in like the 1200s, and they were doing it, and that's, I was like, wait a minute. And I started really thinking, and it started like, looking up shit on my own and thinking about it. It's like, yeah, but people have been doing this the whole time. Like, it's always some health trend in that century that everybody's always obsessed with finding the what's it called, was it the river of eternal youth or something, the pond of eternal youth or some shit. Everybody's always obsessed with it. It's nothing new, man. Fable. Oh, I love Fable. I don't think to be fair with you, I don't think I ever played the first Fable. I played Fable 2. I don't think I ever played the first one, if I remember correctly, because I don't think I ever played the first Fable. I played Fable 2 and Fable 3, but I don't think I ever played the first one, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but I think I'm pretty on point. I played the second one. Fountain of Youth, that's it. The Fountain of Youth. Yeah, every society's always. Here's the thing. The reason why, now I'm not saying I'm perfect with humans. I'm not saying I'm perfect with humans, because I damn sure make mistakes. I'll dot some T's and cross some I's. I will fuck up, right? But the reason why I'm like generally in a realm with humans on some level, no matter where they're from, is because my goal was to just track humanity, right? That's why my YouTube channel, I don't think I've ever put one woman's name in my videos. If I did, it was maybe once or twice. I don't remember ever doing it, because my goal is to get you, the viewer, to not see one woman. This is women. It's humanity, right? Right. So when it came to history, the reason why I can pretty much predict where people are going and what they're going to do, shit like this, is because this is what humans have always done. Humans are very complicated, but we're also very simple, right? Some of them can be simply complicated or complicatedly simple, depending on the person, right? But overall, the theory is going to be the same, right? And that's why I like that. That's where, and then on top of that, I started studying psychology, became a therapist, whatever the fuck. So like, and that just gave me a deeper insight into communication. But even though I still fucked that up too, but humans are humans. So right now, I'll share something with you guys right now. I'm playing through. I was playing God of War. I liked it at first. It got so boring. I just deleted it. And I didn't care for the other God of War at all. This God of War was fun at first, but you can tell like they just like they just don't have any ideas. It's just go to the next room, combat room, some slow climbing section, go to a room, combat room, talk a little bit, go to another room, combat section, run for another mile, go to figure out some puzzle that I don't care about. right? right. So I deleted God of War. I had it, played it for a while, deleted it. I got to where you meet what's the woman that you kill her son? I where she was where I was playing as Artreus and I came to her and talked to her. And it was just it just got to the point where it was just too pretentious. It was boring. It was nothing. I was pushing myself at that point, so I just deleted it. But what I did was I went back to play Assassin's Creed, right? And I started with Assassin's Creed 1. And in my opinion, I still think Assassin's Creed 1 is the best Assassin's Creed game. But that's not. I'm not going to focus on video games right now. I'm going to go into the theory of is this is backing. I'm going into where I was going with just watching humanity, right? And the reason why I don't care for the trilogy, even though I'm playing that right now, I don't care for it at all. Well, I don't say at all. There are some points I do care about, but not as much as the first one, right? The reason why I got attracted to Assassin's Creed now was the fact that it takes place over so many different time periods and in so many different important time periods of human existence in modern times. Even though it's back to like BCE times, it's still modern in comparison to the entirety of human history. The reason why I don't care for Ezio is because it's focusing too hard on one person, and it's not like it is. It's not just seeing people in history. It's just Ezio, right? And I think that's a mistake is to focus on one person, right? Like I said, with my videos, I've never put a woman. I don't think I've ever put a one woman's name. If I did, it was less than 3 times I've done it because I don't want you to look at one person. Study humanity. Look at what humans do. Once you know what humans do, then many situations can become much easier to predict and work with, right? It'd be like if you were hunting, right? You were hunting and you just studied one lion or whatever the fuck you were hunting. You went and you studied one deer. You got you some kind of way you came across one deer and you put it in a cage and you just studied that one deer, right? How do you think your perception would be on deer, right? And not only that, how do you think your perception would be on where deer fit into the ecosystem of the wild, where you think deer fit in with lions, with turtles, with owls, whatever the fuck, right? See, it's like if you were to take one deer and put it in a fucking cage, your overall knowledge of just animals in general will now be severely focused, would be severely smaller, right? Because you're focusing on just one animal of the species, right? If you went out and you just studied deer, well, yeah, you are just studying one species, but now you have that overwhelming. Now you can already call where they gonna go, who they probably gonna end up being friends with, where when they gonna go get some drinks of water, how they gonna run away from the lions. Then you'll start to pick up on, okay, how do lions actually take off when they get ready to go chase the deer when they go get some water? Now you have the knowledge of looking at a lion and go, oh no, a lion get ready to take off now because he just weirdly arches his back just a little bit before he takes off. Now you have that knowledge of lions. Now you go, oh, well, if lions are doing that, when they catch a deer, what do they do with the deer? Oh, they sitting over there. Now they gonna sit there and share it. But the male lion gets all the food first, and they gonna rip it off right here. And see, and your knowledge can now compound, right? But when you study one person, if you just study Brittany Renner or you just study Kim Kardashian and like the 3 other bitches like Kim Kardashian, your knowledge of women and humanity is now just is like this now, right? Because you're not seeing everything, like many more things. Now, most guys just don't, aren't going to have the resources for whatever reason to be able to study women like that. But my reasoning for starting YouTube was to open that up for the average guy, the ability to open the the blinders so you can see more and see where it fits in. Like no woman is very important. That just is what it is, right? The woman is the low standard, right? She doesn't build anything. She doesn't make anything. Like where I left off last week. Any woman you see on earth, if she was 200 pounds or 100 pounds, all in the wrong places, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't care about her at all. You wouldn't think about her. The only reason why you think about any woman is because you looked at her and said, "I wouldn't mind rubbing my dick on her." That's the only reason why you cared about her at all in any way. The vast majority, unless they're family or something like that. That's the only reason why. So a lot of this whole frustration of men and all this is partly coming from that, and partly is a righteous reason because nobody wants to be lonely and all this. I get that. Um, um, and then there's other steps of like the mental gymnastics, these kind of things that they can play, and that's actually a very wide area. I'm not gonna really dive into that too much, but yeah, back to the original area where I was going with it is, well, I started off somewhere else and I rambled on way too long, but oh yeah, I was telling my girl about diets. That's what it was. Because now because she's all into these, diets. And that's, most women. They're gonna buy. Look, if you could find a woman who legitimately will read a book that is not either some fiction nonsense or written by a woman who can't keep a man, that is a very rare occurrence. Um, because all women do it. It's not just my spouse. It's not just your spouse. All women do it. They're gonna buy a book, and they might read 5 pages out of it, but they hope the book just lays there to give them an identity, right? Because see, this is the majority of women's position in life. A woman's lifespan is usually going to be born, of course, uh, have some boy or some guy look at her because he thinks she's pretty. She doesn't know what to do about it. She grows to figure out, oh, I can manipulate being pretty to get attention from the guys I do want, and then that's the end of her development for the most part, right? And the prettier she is, the worse it is. And then once they get older, they realize, oh, guys want a woman with character. So how do I pretend to be a woman of character? I'll go. It's usually going to be the same thing. I'll adopt some quick phrase poetry nonsense that makes pretty much no sense, but it sounds clever, and hopefully that'll trick the guy. um, I'll buy books that are these self help books. So I think Tom Likas had a whole episode on that, the self help book thing. And then in the self help book, they'll only read like I said at max 10 pages and put a bookmark in it to make it like they're reading it. It's the same thing. All women do it. All women do it. So if you're a woman watching this, don't feel bad that I'm attacking you. No, all women do it. It's not just you. All women do it. All women do it. But that's the path. Because all woman has learned in her years of development is if I just sit here and wait, somebody will see me as valuable. Right. That's it. That's all women's. The vast majority of women's development. That's all every woman's learned from Precious to Beyonce. They've all learned. If I just sit here long enough, somebody will deem me valuable for on a misunderstanding of something, right? On a misunderstanding of my character. That's every woman's development is like that. It's just how it's not just it's how humanity developed and grew. It's biology. If I just sit here long enough, somebody will see me as valuable, right? Men, on the other hand, don't have that same benefit. It's a brutal reality. It's fucked up, but it's true. I mean, there's no, and then you get some women who there are some women in between, the women who couldn't keep up, and they actually had to put in some work, to try to get that same status, a guy that the other woman doesn't have to do anything for. You get all these in between, of course, these kind of things. But it happens. And another thing I wanted to touch on was I think if you're watching the thing of hoflation, right? how you have like women nowadays. Let me see if I can send it to my. I should be able to send it to this, and I'll show you guys on Instagram because I wanted to show us a while back, but I could never find a video. So I found it and I saved it. Let me see. It was this woman who. If I can find it. Here it is. Here it is. So can I should be able to airdrop it. I can't airdrop it. Can I airdrop it? Yeah. Share to and airdrop it. Why is it a desktop? Here it is. Okay. Here we are. It's on Instagram. Because this is a great example of if it'll play it. Oh, yeah, we'll play it if I'm not logged in. This is a great example of where we are, especially in the West, right? Because I've seen this a while. I seen this a while back. And I think it's so sad in the West. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some guys who would have just dated a woman like this. There's some guys who there's always that guy who would have just done it, right? But I think nowadays, especially nowadays, we got so many men who are suffering from hoflation that the younger generation just does not remember a time when the younger generation does not remember a time where a woman who looked like this would have just never even put her face on the internet looking like that, just anywhere. Like, you guys don't, if you're under the age of like 28, if you're under the age of 28, I would say there's a good chance that you don't remember a time. You probably don't. If you are, then correct me on this. But you probably don't remember a time where, like, see, a woman like this just would have never talked out loud, too loud for too long without getting embarrassed, right? And let's just watch just how she's talking, just the confidence, and they're roasting it. They're roasting it, but it's just this entire package just would have never been a thing. Is it gonna? Oh, I can't get the audio. But audio doesn't really matter, but
because we still have another 4 hours of this, and I've got to listen to this the entire time.
Oh, very historic, very demure. Very cornfield, very demure. Very bridge, very demure.
Now, real quick, you notice how they was drawing the guy like fucked up too? Watch this again. Watch how they drew the guy when it would like skip to the drawing.
There's a reason I can't take my husband on road trips, because we still have another 4 hours of this.
It's not gonna play. Hang on, let me refresh. For some reason, it's doing that now. It's just like stopping. But watch they gonna draw him in the seat with her.
My husband on road trips, because we still have another 4 hours of this, and I've got to listen to this the entire time.
Oh, very historic, very demure. Very cornfield, very demure. Very bridge, very demure.
See, now, when I was younger, okay, there was a good enough chance, more than good enough chance, that guy would have never ever even been seen with her in public. And it sounds like I'm being mean about it, but for those of you who remember, life in the early 2000s, I was born in '86. So if those of you who remember life, like even in elementary school, like, we just had whole different definitions of what was acceptable out of a woman and what wasn't, what was embarrassing. Men had higher standards back then, and didn't even know it, because that's just all we knew, right? Okay, So here's the thing. See, nowadays, what the definition of an incel, which is a dude who's mad he can't get sex. Okay, n- the guy who can't get sex nowadays genuinely cannot get sex, right? Unless he pays for it and this kind of thing, right? See, back when I was like 20, you could always get sex out of a woman. The thing was, unless you were dating a woman who was at least a 7 out of 10, there was a good chance you didn't even want to be seen. You keep her quiet. You didn't want to be seen with her in public, right? Period. So like, see, back then, and I'm sure times changed from when I came up to when my dad grew up, right? But when I was a kid, like you would just rather like okay, this man would not have been seen with this woman in public. He would not walk around with her in public. To further explain it, let's say a man like him who was like, let's say he was like 350 pounds, would still be like, ugh. Like here's the thing: if a guy was like 350 pounds and they said, yeah, you need to date her, he would start laughing. There's a good chance everybody would start laughing, right? And she would be checked. She wouldn't be walking around this whole like a big girl. Like she would know. This wouldn't happen. Now you have guys who are well in shape, got their shit together, and this, and they stuck dating women like the whole ecosystem, the whole economic system is just gone to complete shit. It's complete shit. Because I wanted to touch on, because I always use this other girl as an example. What's her name? If I spelled her name right. And I don't mean this out of any hate. I'm not going to mean this out of any hate, because I think she's attractive. I do. But I've always liked white women though. I grew up in the suburbs. Fucking kill me. Who cares? I've always liked white women. Now, I think Jennifer Lawrence is attractive. So I'm not saying this to be mean towards Jennifer Lawrence. I'm not saying this to be mean to her, because again, I think Brittany Renner is a physically attractive woman, right? But let's rewind back 20 years. Right? Let's go in a time machine 20 years ago. Right? Right? Now, I think Brittany Renner, when makeup is applied, Brittany Renner would still be about the same. She would still be Brittany Renner is an attractive woman. She's a piece of shit, but she's an attractive. If she shuts the fuck up, she's completely fuckable, right? And I think if you were to take Brittany Renner for what she is now and put her in a time machine and throw her back in the year 2004, she would generally be the same shit. She'd be the girl everybody wanted to fuck, right? Physically speaking, right? She wouldn't lose much in that, right? Now, Jennifer Lawrence wouldn't make that same cut, right? Jennifer Lawrence, because she's doctored up in makeup and all this shit, like in that picture, but like when just a normal old white girl Jennifer Lawrence. Let's just look at this picture right here, like just regular old white girl Jennifer Lawrence. Here's the thing: I think she's a good looking girl because I've always liked white girls. But 20 years ago, Jennifer Lawrence would have been the girl who, let's say if y'all was in high school, right? And it was like 10 of y'all hanging out and you was just talking about the hot girls. Like, you would have to coach everybody up to admit that they would fuck Jennifer Lawrence 20 years ago. Right? They'd be like, say you wouldn't fuck Jennifer Lawrence. And everybody be like, okay, I guess I would. You know what I mean? We'd be that type of shit. Like Jennifer Lawrence was hot, was attractive in the sense of like we all thought that we all secretly liked her. And this is where Jennifer Lawrence is a proper example of hoflation. She is the exact Jennifer Lawrence is the exact example of hoflation in North America. Right? She's the exact she rode in on hoflation's coattails. There's a lot of women who did that in modern times. They rode in. Billie Eilish is another one. They rode in on the coattails of hoflation on their horse. And they was happy. And just like this woman, they rode in. This woman is relatively in the same boat as her in the sense of confidence in the world for her looks and what kind of man she's getting ready to get, right? Because like I said, 20 years ago, that man would not have dated this woman. If he did, it meant he had super low self-esteem and something's wrong with him, right? Something like that, right? Jennifer Lawrence, again, I would have always thought she was attractive because I've always liked white girls, right? But my black friends would have all sweared up and down they wouldn't have sex with her, this and that, blah blah blah. Even white guys would have been like, oh, I'll pass. And I bet Jennifer Lawrence, if you were to sit down and have Jennifer Lawrence sit down in a true one-on-one conversation, she would tell you stories how she was bullied, laughed at, roasted all through high school, and I was like, I think she dropped out of high school, but she would tell because back things with hoflation hadn't happened yet, right? So she was put. I mean, so there's still some decency to her character, right? Because hoflation hadn't. She wasn't in the hoflation yet. Like she came up during the times of hoflation. Again, I think she's an attractive woman. I I always thought she was kind of cute, but I didn't realize she was hot. Like she wasn't like my type of hot till I seen her in that movie with Chris Pratt, and she was jogging and she wore them spandex and was jogging around the fucking spaceship, and I seen her body for real. I was like, yep, chubby and pale white. That's my type. And that's why I knew she was like hot. But I didn't, I always thought she was cute. And I always thought she had an interesting, character about her. But she rode the coattails of hoflation, just like this woman. They both rode in on the coattails of hoflation to where just being skinny and attractive makes you immediately an 8 out of 10 as a woman. Right? It was this movie, Passengers. This was the one where she was jogging on that ship. Cause see, here's the other thing. See, this is another part that people don't really think about too. See, 20 years ago, them foreign Ukrainian looking women, them foreign Russian women, that wasn't a thing yet. See, them foreign Ukraine. If a motherfucker had married a woman from Ukraine or Russia, like you would automatically think something's wrong with him. Not because of like country's history, but because back then these women were more funny looking. The most of them, right? We consider that funny looking because they were all rail thin, skinny, tall, this kind of thing, right? Like they were just a little funny looking. Like what's that bitch name? Mila Jokovic, the one who did the Resident Evils. She's just a little funny looking, right? And I don't mean this to I don't like spelling it. I'm not saying this to be mean about her or anything, but she's a little funny looking, right? Right? Like she's just a little weird looking. Like she's like, but nowadays, after hoflation, look, she's gone up, in my opinion, right? She's gone up in value. Right? Because just being skinny and looking halfway decent is enough to get you, somewhere in the world now in the West. But she's just a little funny looking, right? Like even when she looks a little hot, like she's just a little, what I mean? Like just a little mannish, right? Like it's just a little funny looking shit. Just a little funny looking. 20 years ago, that's what it was, right? That's what it was. See, nowadays men are flocking to marry a bitch from Ukraine that look like that because the quality of American women has gone down so much. The Western woman, the quality has just gone down so much. Now they're clawing for Amelia Jokovic, whatever. I don't know what her name is, but the one I just had up here. But yeah, I would say 26 and under wouldn't remember a time like that. 1998 people and below seem completely different. The transition generation of 95, 97 is a hit or miss, but we see how, but see how the world has changed. Yeah. Yeah, 20, yeah, Leda, yeah, I agree. I would say, yeah, 26, 20. In that time period, like they were just too young to really grow up. Like when we called Homer Simpson fat. Like Homer Simpson was like the fattest motherfucker, on mainstream television. You know what I mean? Like that was like, there. And you mean that's what we call Homer Simpson was fat. And then like for like the morbidly obese, Like it was just like a whole nother groundbreaking discovery. Now Homer Simpson would be thick. Homer Simpson's thick. Right. But yeah, it was just a different time period, man. It really was. But the whole inflation thing is just it's gotten so out of hand to where you have guys now walking around who are really upstanding guys in the West. And these same guys 20 years ago would have cleaned up. Easily would have cleaned up. 20 years ago would have cleaned up like that. 20 years ago, I was a regular average bald dude at 18 and I could get some pussy at 18. I mean I wasn't pulling in like tons of women, but I knew, okay, when I was 18, 19, 20, from the age of 18, how we grew up, I was in the area where I knew I was in a culture and area in the US where I knew if I really wanted to go out there and find a girlfriend, I could find a girlfriend. If I really wanted to do it. And I was bald with like fucking like alopecia fucking spots in my fucking head. And I knew I could go do it. And I could go get a girl who's kind of cute, who's a solid. I could go pull a Jennifer Lawrence, right? Like a regular Jennifer Lawrence, not all makeup and dolled up Jennifer Lawrence, but a Jennifer Lawrence, you mean, with just average Ohio level makeup, right? Like I knew I could pull. See, this is like dolled up with, fucking Hollywood makeup shit, and all that. So now she's like, that'll fuck around and boost her up a lot. But I'm looking for like just like a regular old picture of her. Like she's just a regular old girl. You know what I mean? Like I knew I could talk to her and get somewhere with her, right? Like 20 years ago, and it wasn't even a hesitant thought. It was is if I wanted to do it or not, right? And let's just be real. Like, see, this woman 20 years ago, incels would have rejected her 20 years ago. By the time you would have seriously dated a woman who looked like that, you were like, I don't know which one would have been lower, dating her or doing online dating in those years. I would say both of those were about the same level of low. And then on top of that, she got an attitude, and you mean, like she talking like she don't gotta be there for real. See, 20 years ago, she just would have been embarrassed. Motherfuckers would have just roasted her. A motherfucker would have roasted her just by how she walked in the classroom, and it just would have started. And her self-esteem would have been ruined. It's fucked up, but that's what it was, 20 years ago. If she had just walked in a classroom, somebody would have just snickered, and that would have been it. They would have just roasted her, right? That's what it is. And you know what? She wouldn't have had no fucking attitude. She would have been talking. She would have done anything for a man to do what? To treat her nice. The only time women want you to treat them nice is when the world beat them down. The only time a woman truly responds to being treated nice is when somebody stomped her self-esteem in the ground. When this woman would have walked in a classroom in, like, let's say the late 90s, and motherfuckers they would have roasted her, laughed at her and shit like that, just because she walked in there with her belly hanging out or some shit like that. See, now she would have done anything for a guy just to talk to her nice and bring her a flower. She would have done anything for that. Nowadays, she can't stand to be in the same car with the motherfucker because he keeps saying demure. 20 years ago, she'd have done anything to be in a car, just to sit in the car with him. Then that hoflation hit, which somebody may correct me on this, but how I understand hoflation is it took place when the internet came out, and women really started communicating and figured out that no matter what they look like, every and any man could use extra pussy. That's when hoflation happened. Women and them egos went up from having 100 likes in an hour. That's when hoflation happened. They had because then when the women got in online dating, what happened? Every guy came after them, hounding them for sex, right? To the point where more and more men found out like, oh, you can just go on online dating and we can and the women are that easy in online dating. Yeah, yeah, just go on plenty of fish and it's easy, dude. I just asked this woman for sex and she just let me come on. She called me in over within an hour. And more men caught on to the point where now every man made an online dating account and swarmed the few reject women who are stuck in online dating, right? And to the point where like no one woman can even communicate with all these matches they're getting. So now the only way you can stand out is just to send them money and be a complete simp chump, right? That's the only way you can stand out. And that's what happened, and that's how hoflation happened. Of course, the prettier ones are getting the most highest of the high bidders, and the lower ones are still getting bidders, right? To the point where now you have threes who are now just waiting for the highest bidder, walking around with the mentalities that they're fucking a nine, right? Because online dating, online dating ended up ruining it. Oh, let me go grab my bottle. I thought I had my water out here. Let me go grab my bottle of water. I'll be right back. All right. Women are in their overvalued phase, like an overhyped stock. The market crash will come when the economy tanks, then men's value will reassert itself and will move up in value. I hope. I hope you're gonna pull a Mississippi company at some point. One of the Mississippi companies. I hope we pull one of them. Hey, be honest with you, man. I to be honest with you, I, I, honestly, I hope that happens, but I think it's just gonna get worse. I don't. I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. The reason why I say this is because see, that Western culture is starting to spread. Okay, Western culture is spreading, and with culture, media, all that language is going to spread. So one interesting point that I come across while teaching is that I found out that Czech kids are actually using a lot of a lot of English mixed in with Czech. And not only that, they're actually starting to speak Czech with English grammar, right? So when I'll be working with somebody who has kids and I have them tell me, he said, yeah, the kids are, they'll speak Czech and just say, cool or whatever. Like they're mixing their own language with English, because they're playing these phone games and shit like that where it's in English. So they're learning the words through there, to learn the words through well, not commercials. They'll dub the commercials for the Czech language, but and you got to remember Czech and English. That's a big jump in difficulties, and the kids are learning that just out of every day. YouTube and this, I I think okay that Western culture is going to keep spreading for one reason or another, right? Either it's going to spread through like video games and shit like that, or it's going to spread through expat communities, right? Because as the cost of living keeps going up in these Western countries, you're gonna slowly have more and more people being like, "Yo, I can go just move to this poorer country, this lesser, I won't say poor country. That's a rude way of saying it, but they say, look, I could just move to this lesser, fiscally viable country, and have a better life, overall lifestyle instead of staying in America where rent has tripled in the last 5 years and this crazy shit. You're gonna have, but then that's gonna bring more the culture and the mentality, right? It's bringing it, and then they're gonna raise their kids on it, and it's gonna spread even more. Um, uh, I think it's gonna get a lot worse before it gets better. If it gets better, it may just be a time period that's just over. It may things may have just gotten to that point. We may just be in a time period where we've just our best days are just behind us with that, and then things will get worse. I don't know. I don't know. um, because like I mentioned a while back with the Czech women, like because I spoke to that woman again, the woman I told you guys a while back. She's like 50, but she lived in the UK. Usually the older people, the only older people who speak English are the older people who went and lived in like America, the UK, Australia for like 10 years, and they'll come back. Those are the only older people in my experiences that'll usually speak English on any type of a conversation level. And she's one of those. She like when communism ended, she went to go live in the UK for like 8 years or something like that. So she speaks fluent English. And so she remembers when Europe used to be seen as war, especially Eastern Europe was seen as war torn, and like no Western white man would touch them. They were the equivalent of I hate to say it, they were looked at as almost the equivalent as Africa, as poor, war torn confusion. So she remembers that time. And I told you guys a while back where she said that because her husband's actually a white Australian man, and she said that her other when she came back to Czech Republic, all her Czech friends just assumed that her husband must have been some type of brown, because there was no way a white Western man would ever date an Eastern European woman, and she remembers those times, like she remembers that. So she's far more down to earth. She's not like she doesn't act funny to me because she's open about it. Like, we've talked about it. But the funny part is, see, the modern generation of Czech kids, they're growing up on the understanding that, yeah, like we're just like we're not a poor war torn Eastern Europe anymore. If anything, we're something that poor war torn countries come to look up to, kind of thing. We should take in immigrants and all this shit like that, right? So with that complication, you have like a lot like younger Czech girls. It's really going to be a coin flip how they going to judge you if you're brown or not, right? It's a coin flip because some of them, they might have it in them from their parents that like, yeah, like you should be happy to be here. Others don't care. Like, so there's some many Czechs don't care. Many Czechs are really cool. Some Czechs just don't know how to be around people who aren't white, and understandably so, because they're 95% white population here because it's the location. So it's understandable why they won't know how to act. But it's just that separation just from pretty much like when in the span of what 30 years, it's that different, right? Which is crazy. I think men need to go back and listen to Patrice O'Neal, Black Phillip show. Yeah, yeah. He and Dante Nero are the literal fathers of the red pill. A lot of red pill content creators, a lot of red pill content creators contradictory messages, contradict messages. Yeah, yeah, and I like that Dante Nero thing. Was Dante Nero okay? Maybe I'm just in a Devil May Cry too much. But was that like a shout out to like Devil May Cry with the guy's name on there? Because I was never into like Dante or there was a book I wanted to read about. I think the original was it Nero or whatever. I can't. It was some shit. I can't think of what it is now, but some guy had it in Russian and I wanted to borrow it from him. This was in Czech Republic, but yeah, no, yeah. Patrice O'Neal, like Tom Likas, they were just guys who were ahead of their time. They were ahead of their time. They were ahead of their time in the reality. And usually the only guys who really get to that level are guys who either grew up with a lot of women and seen it, or they did a lot of traveling. Like I think because Patrice O'Neal, he had one episode where he was talking about going. I think he used to go to Brazil or something like that, and he was saying how uh uh how American men living in America are like Clark Kent, but when they go to like Brazil, they end up like Superman. But they don't know it. Like they still think they're Clark Kent. Now I've never been to. I think he was talking about Brazil. I've never been to Brazil, but yeah, as an American, but also that was a different time period too. When Patrice O'Neal was traveling, you didn't have a lot. The media world wasn't in effect to where it is now, right? When Patrice O'Neal was traveling, the technology and media wasn't where it is now. So his perspective on it, even though I do value everything he said. Um, I think some of that doesn't really translate very well now, right? A lot of it doesn't translate very well now with racial issues and skin tones and all this shit like that. Like back then, just being a North American with a North American passport was probably was I would go ahead and say back in the late '90s, maybe early 2000s. If I had to guess, if I had to give a hypothesis, I would say that yes, back then, just showing up with with an American passport would probably get you a wife. Back then, just walking around holding a passport up. Back then, you could have possibly done some shit like that. White, black didn't matter. Back then, right? Nowadays, after technologies, people spreading information, this and that. Nowadays is not. It wouldn't be as easy in many places. I'm saying it's not still possible, but it's not going to be as easy. You know, and on top of that, you got to remember Patrice O'Neal was coming from LA. He was coming from California with California price cost of living. So once he got to a point where he can afford a cost of living in a major metropolitan area, he goes to a place in South America. That's like he's living like a he'll be living like a complete king down there, right? Because that separation in money. Right, you talking about living in California, where back then I don't know what poverty was considered back then, but it's always been higher. It's always been higher than Ohio, like where I'm from. And if you had come from Ohio down in these countries, you could live like a king, right? Because you got to remember the average wages in these countries have never been anything to brag about, right? So so with him coming from California, yeah, he had that. On top of that, he was traveling before the internet was a thing, before social media, before all this. He traveled down there as a fluent English motherfucker with money. Back in those years, that was probably a much bigger deal than it is now. Now you have so much YouTube, internet, TV going around to where now English is not the novelty that it once was back then, but it's still definitely a novelty in a weird way. For example, the English teaching situation, right? Which I like I like doing it. It's an easy job, it's cool. The weird part about teaching English is I'll say this: the weird part for doing it in Europe. I had this conversation with one of my students today. Teaching English in Europe is Europe. Don't get me wrong. There's good things about Europe. There's great things about Europe, and there's bad parts about Europe. There's good parts about North America. There's bad parts about North America. I will say this: Europe will never ever get its shit together. Never. Unless either Russia or North America takes control of it. That's the only way. If Russia or North America does not come here and just say, look, you guys got to act right, and even then, it's still going to be just a slop fest of random independent entities fighting each other kind of thing. Like they'll never the sense of unification and Europe just doesn't even go in the same sentence. All right, those two genres of conversation just doesn't go. You can read any economist who will talk about Europe, and they will tell you the exact same thing I'm telling you. Europe just will never get its shit together, never. In the case of learning another language, right? This is a wild situation. I was talking to this guy today, and we were talking about learning English, right? Because he's been learning English for years now. And he said, yeah, because in Europe, like we're getting people who speak English, but they learned it, and it's not really their language, so they don't really know it, and they're teaching us, and then so they don't know, and they're teaching us shit, so we don't know, and now we're getting all types of bad habits, bad shit, right? Like, because like I said, I've met other English teachers who don't speak English. These motherfuckers have called me, and more than half the conversation, I'm saying, what? Huh? More than half the conversation, I'm like, what? I don't understand you. You got to speak slower or say it a different way because I don't know what you're saying. and like, what, huh? I'm like, they employed this to teach, and this is the English that this person is going out into Prague and teaching English to somebody else. And this motherfucker can't even pronounce nothing. And here's the thing. I would put the healthcare system, the European healthcare system is in the same boat as the English teaching sector here, right? It's just overall going to be this sloppy, low quality, poorly maintained thing. But we can say, yeah, it's cheap. You can learn it, right? And that's the selling point, right? Like it's cheap. It's cheap healthcare, blah blah. But when you actually see the conditions, when you actually come over here and you see the conditions, it's like, yeah, bro. Like in America, we would have never even let you do this. This hospital would, in this condition, this hospital would have never even been allowed to be open in North America. This level of teaching you wouldn't even been allowed to teach in North America like this, right? And it's really it's fucked up, man. Because the guy was cool. He's a Czech guy, and we were talking like brutally, always honest about it, right? He said, yeah, because we're getting, or then we'll get British English or we'll get Australian English, which we have different habits when it comes down to talking, right? It doesn't come out until you actually, focus on it. And he said, yeah, like we're just getting so many different Englishes that we just like, our English is just not going to be. Because he said, for example, if he were to speak to another European who learned English and made a mistake, like nobody would care, right? Because it's in Europe on a whole to be comfortable with broken languages and other languages, right? There's a comfort in that with them, so deep down to the point where, like, for example, like many Czechs can't even understand like the most basic of university textbooks, like because it's that jump in language, like in their own language they can't even, like we're okay, in America you can put a doctor up somewhere, and as long as he speaks in at least the most minimal relative terms, most of us will be able to understand it. It's not like that in other parts of the world. It's not that same thing, right? So and he was flat out honest. He said, yeah, like we're getting so many Englishes that it's just, so so the sick part is, and I was telling my spouse this, with teaching English, by the time I'm seeing the students, they can speak, right? But here's the sick part about English here that I found, and about teaching it. When I came to the realization that they're not learning English to actually go out and use it. They're learning English to compete with other Czech people's English. If that makes sense. They're not learning English to go out and actually do something with it. Right? Go to the UK, go to America, whatever, make business with these. They're not learning it to go do something with it. They're learning it to compete in their own twisted Czech circle of other English speakers to compare their level of English to others. Because most of these guys can speak English, right? When I had the first meeting I had, and I had a guy in there learning English, I told her, I said, look, like your English is good enough to where you can go to Vermont right now and be okay. I have full faith in you going to Vermont in North America, some regular old state, and walking down the street and being completely fine. Why are you here? Why are you learning this from me? Right? Again, like they're not learning it to actually go somewhere. They're learning it to compete with their own. Which it is it's really, I think that's really weird. I think it's weird. Maybe it's like a novelty thing. It's a sign of luxury. Maybe it's a sign of character. Maybe it's a sign of I can't think of the right word I'm trying to think of now. But yeah, that was the first big awareness, the first big wake up call when I came across him. So knowing English is a flex. Well, depending on where you are, it definitely is. Yeah, depending on where you are, it's a flex. I told this to AI, and even it agreed that Europe, Asia, Africa should have united a long time ago, and America uniting is an anomaly of human history of how it was able to unite so fast. Oh yeah, I agree completely on, especially on the last part. America, and I was telling, I tell my spouses all, I tell everybody when the topic comes up, I think Russia's going to take over. I think America's going to fall unless America just stays ahead with technology. That's the only thing keeping us, well, not now. We've got so much more, but I think when things get rough, America's thing is just technology. Because the U.S. put more faith into education before it put. Let me switch this to something else. America put more faith in education long before many other countries, many other world powers did, or who could have been a world power. But I do. Here's the thing. I do think America essentially won the lottery. I don't think any. Okay, now I don't. Okay, I'll just say it. I don't think America earned the title of being a world superpower. Even though they did, the country did. It didn't really earn it, right? It was what America got lucky with was timing. It was the timing. And this is going to bring up some racial shit, but I told my spouse this to break it down, right? And see, now, out of everything I said, this is the one thing that will usually get, a comment deleted, get me banned, get me shut down anywhere. And I'm gonna say it because nobody can contradict this fact about North America. North America, the reason why North America, okay, a lot of it's still luck, right? But North America essentially got away with 200 years of literally completely free labor. Well, not completely. They had to pay up front for the slaves. And like many other countries, slavery was not just North America. North America had 200 years of free labor that they never had to pay back for. Right? Now, even with 200 years of free labor, you can still fuck up a country, right? So there's still, some else that luck, planning and all this that had to be put in place that had to still be carried out. But still, North America had at least 200 years of completely free labor that contributed to half their exports, right? So when you just think about that for a minute, and I'm gonna equate it to make it to where it's you can't fight the argument. Once you have that, like you're just gonna have a leg up on any other country, especially at the timing when North America did it, right? It was the timing of why North America became North America in that short period of time. A lot of luck in timing, right? So to put the slavery situation in the proper perspective, and this is why I tried to tell my spouse. Well, because she already knows, but I told her, I said, okay, imagine if you owned a flower shop, because she works in a flower shop. I said, imagine if you owned a flower shop and I owned a flower shop, right? Now in your flower shop, you didn't have to pay your employees for 40 years, right? But in my flower shop, I had to pay my employees for 40 years. We ain't gonna talk about health insurance and all the other shit. Right? I had to pay my employees a livable wage for 40 years. Whereas you didn't for 40 years. Who's gonna have the leg up when the 40 years is up? Who's gonna be in a better position? The person who had to pay their employees or the person who didn't? Now, granted, there's life situations, addictions, whatever could happen. But just from that logic alone, she could easily see, yeah, I would have the leg up because I didn't have to pay my employees. See, once you didn't have to pay your employees, now you had more time to think about it. You had money to invest in other things. You had time, since you had extra money, now you can sit down and think, you can sit down and plan, you can sit down and regulate other things faster, quicker. You can put more focus on uniting people in good or bad ways. You had all this ample extra time to think. Whereas Russia never had this. Whereas China essentially never had it. There was slavery. They would get absorbed. China is a very complicated history that really gets overlooked. But China has a very complicated history. And their history is much longer. But for the most part, China would lose a lot of battles, but their philosophy was so great, people just joined the country and just said, fuck it. Like, you guys got a better philosophy. We beat you for real, but we'll just, we'll just stay here and call it China still. Um, but um, but yeah, but the U.S. was luck. It was luck, luck, timing, and free labor was what got America to where it is. 100%. And like I said, out of everything I've ever said that'll get me risk of getting me shut down, that's usually the thing that'll get me deleted anywhere for mentioning it, for bringing that up, because there's no counter argument to it, right? Out of every other population of people who were enslaved in any kind of way, either the people were just completely killed off or they were paid back in some way. The only population who was not paid back, especially in modern times, who was not paid back or just completely exterminated was the African Americans. Period. Those are the only people who weren't given it something in return back for it, or just killed completely, was the African Americans. It was perfect timing. And it was perfect timing for racial issues to just grow out of control. But yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, North America was definitely a lottery game, and in North America, honestly, and I'm American. North America did not deserve it. That Russia, I would say, Russia deserves it, and I would say China definitely deserves it. Europe doesn't. Europe just isn't prepared for it and never will be, which is, I'm bashing it, but in the context of being a united world power, Europe just will just never be prepared for it. Europe really needs to be taken over. And deep down, I think most Europeans, because when actually the guys talking about earlier, we were talking about Temu and Shein and all these little fast fashion things that come out of China and all that shit like that. And we were talking about it. And once you get with a European, like, in the room, y'all sitting here and you chilling and you talking about it, either they're going to just completely go off on it more than you will, or they'll get mad, right? So this guy, he went on more about it. He said, yeah, because in Europe, we're just too slow with Shein and all this shit. Like, they're going to, like, everybody's just going to start buying everything from China because it's just going to be cheaper. Which is going to be slave labor, but it's going to be cheaper shit. China is essentially going to, what China is doing with slave labor, China, mark my words, China is going to turn in to the cotton industry that America was during slavery times. That's all it is. It's the same shit. Same shit. But they're going to turn, that's what they're going to do. They're going to become what America was in the cotton industry. I'll back my statement with that. You think Black Americans should get reparations? Well, I told my girl this, and I tell black, white, I tell everybody this. I think it's a waste of time to give black people, African Americans, reparations, because again, it was a timing. It was a timing that was horribly fucked up. I told her. I tell everybody, white, black, it doesn't matter. I think it's fucked up about the timing of how America came to be the top, all this shit like that. But when it comes to it, in the reality, because of the timing, I think it'd be a waste of time to even give it to give it to the African Americans, to give African Americans reparations. And this is where, at face value, me and Thomas Sowell would sound like we're best friends. But my explanation of it is if you like Thomas Sowell, you're not gonna like my explanation of it. Long story short, the reason why I think it would be a waste of time to give reparations to African Americans is because by now, who owns all the money in North America, right? So because I just told my girl that she was sitting on the bed on the edge and I was laying at the top of it. And I just told her this: with reparations, let's say right now in North America just gave every African American $10 million for what their ancestors did, right? Let's just say it, $1 billion. Just make it whatever amount you want. Doesn't matter, right? Let's say North America just signed a bill. So yeah, we're going to distribute reparations and give them all 40 acres and a mule and $10 million, right? Right now. Well, you got to put that money in the bank. You ain't gonna walk around with that money in your pocket, right? So who owns the banks? It's not the blacks. It's going back into the white people's pocket. right? So it's going to defeat the whole purpose. When you get land, well, guess what? Now you're going to have to regulate the land. You're going to have to get water. You need electricity, right? Who you going to buy it from? Not the blacks. You're going to give the money right back to them, right? So then it's like, okay, well, I got you, AD. Well, what if we buy the banks? What if we buy electricity? Okay, based off of history, look at the African Americans' track record. Do African Americans have any track record of being electrical engineers well enough to keep electricity running in a whole fucking city? No. Right? Do African Americans have the track record of running banks successfully? No. Especially not with millions and billions. No. We don't have that. We don't have that track record. So in the end, it's just gonna be we're just gonna okay. Just like it would be the same thing like if Melania Trump were to do okay. African Americans are to North America what Melania Trump is to Donald Trump, right? Which is fucked up to say it, but it's the truth. If Melania Trump were to leave Donald Trump, even if Melania took all Donald Trump's money, she wouldn't hold on to it, but for I say at max 10 years before everybody around her would just swindle it out of her some kind of way or whatever. She wouldn't have the money because she doesn't know what to do with it. She needs a man to handle it. Well, she'll probably go out and try to find some other man to handle it, and he'll just swindle her out of it, right? So that's not part of her history. She just sucked the right dick to get in that history with somebody else, but it's not her culture. Her history is not that lifestyle. And I think it's the same thing with African Americans. It would be a waste of time. You're just gonna give it all right back. Just go back, go give it. You might as well just go give it to Cadillac or some shit like this and just be done with it. Because what little jobs you gonna create is just gonna add more debt, right? It's just a waste of time. I think because of the time period, I think reparations would be a waste of time. Now had okay. Now, if the slaves had been freed, I'd say, like, let's say if all that had happened 200 years earlier, then I think there would have been a much better chance for true growth in the African American community in terms of like being able to run their own countries, states, and shit like this. I think there would have been a better chance if all this had happened 200 years earlier. Right, but all this happened like the rate, like the surge in value of education, the surge in independence, the surge in intelligence, the surge in technology. All of this happened at just the wrong times, right? Like it did, right? And it's okay. Because you could take now on the other hand, you could say, and I still stand by this. I think Europe severely the reason why Europe is even seen as valuable in any kind of way is because of North America. The reason why I'm going to say this, it has nothing to do with money, but it has to do with media. Right? Who is the media powerhouse of the world? It's North America. Everybody knows who Angelina Jolie is. Nobody knows who Arisha Shapira, the main actress in Arabia. Nobody knows who that bitch is, but everybody knows Angelina Jolie. Everybody knows American actors and actresses, right? Everybody knows America drama. Everybody knows America news. Everybody knows North America. Only an unintelligent person can deny this fact. If this country, right, that was literally built and created and end up ruling the world based off of having hundreds of years of free labor and free time to think about shit, fought through wars and all this shit too. But it was based off of that, and which ended up being severely based off of your skin color, right? This country now makes movies and TV and pumps it out to the rest of the world to see. Right? Don't you think there's just at least a little bit of bias is going to get through it, even in that media? Right? Think about it. See, over in Europe, my spouse, you see, they watch Home Improvement. They to this day, they have Home Improvement, Friends, All these white American shows where white people are getting their shit together, they happy, they together, they got their life. My spouse barely knew who Steve Urkel was. Because I got on a Family Matters trip a while back. She barely knows who Steve Urkel is, right? She barely knows any black shows like the Cosby Show. These shows, they make it to Italy because she grew up in Italy. They make it to Italy, but out, especially in Czech Republic, they don't want to see brown people. They want to see people that look like them that are happy, right? So these shows don't make, but add insult to injury. See, don't you think with these shows will at least inadvertently send some type of bias that comes along with it, right? Like only an unintelligent person would deny that fact, in my opinion. I'll just say in my opinion, right? So with that, I think and these shows are sent everywhere, right? Everybody knows Friends. You probably cannot go to a city on Earth that has not heard of the television show Friends. I would highly doubt it. You go to the depths of some country and pull out the Friends, and motherfuckers will recognize that shit. That's how massive American media is, right? And so, but with that being said, what does that always show? It shows a certain ethnicity, always happy, they working through problems, figuring shit out. And we ain't even touching on movies yet, on big budget movies. We ain't even touching that yet. We're just talking about just TV shows, right? So what does that tell to the world when they see that? That you got to look like if you look like that, I have faith in you, right? If you don't look like that, I don't know you like that. So again, only an unintelligent person or a person who's never actually really traveled and seen some shit would disagree. But again, so I think that helped Europe a lot too. Between that and NATO, those two things, media and NATO just was a severe step up for Europe without even trying. They just had to just exist, right? And they ate off of Europe on a whole, ate off of that in one form or another, right? Because see, now let's take me for example, right? I'm a black dude living over here, right? There is not one TV program. Fresh Prince. I was doing a Carlton dance. And my spouse barely knew Fresh Prince. Barely. I'm talking like, I had to tell her no, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was like primetime television. Family Matters, Steve Urkel. See, here's the crazy part. They have Step by Step over here. For those of you older people, you know Step by Step. And Step by Step, day by day. It was a good show, right? But Step by Step was back in them days, Step by Step. Okay, I was trying to explain to my girl, Step by Step came on Friday night. It was a TGIF. Family Matters was the #1 show. Everybody came to watch Family Matters. That was Steve Urkel. Family Matters came on at 8 p.m. That was the primetime show, right? Step by Step came on 9:30. It didn't even make it. That shit was when TGIF was over. Motherfuckers weren't even watching Step by Step like that. But they get Step by Step out here. They don't get Family Matters. Family Matters was, and I tell them, Fresh Prince was pretty much the same. It was in that same realm. Fresh Prince was like primetime television in America. You stopped what you was doing. Everybody remembers when Will Smith got shot. Everybody remembers when Will Smith's dad left him and he had that crying scene. In America, everybody knows that scene. You can't find a person who's never seen that scene. Maybe somewhere in North America, but the vast majority of people, doesn't matter what color you are, you know that scene. How come he don't want me? All that shit like that, right? Fresh Prince. I've never heard anybody talk about it. I've never seen it on TV here. Maybe it's on. Maybe I've never seen it. But when I show you, nobody knows Fresh Prince. People know Will Smith, but they don't know Fresh Prince, right? I know the Fringe jingle to this day. There are also black politicians in towns that are after Reconstruction. Black cities were destroyed. Yeah. Well, yeah. Black Americans had a lot of successful town cities. They were destroyed as sabbaths. Yeah. Then, yeah. But okay, yeah. My theory was now, now, if you were to give reparations out now to people, yeah, now it wouldn't. But yeah, there were definitely towns. They were in their own banks. Their own shit. Yeah. But it was literally just destroyed. I do know the area you're talking about. I do know the area you're talking about for sure. But yeah, these are just the little. So I do think Europe won off of that in one way or another, whether it's just morale or or just indirect financially, like morale, meaning like for those who maybe not be fluent in English, morale means like you look at something and if it looks like you, now you feel like you can do that and now you feel good or bad about it, right? So for example, because I tell my spouse all the time, I say, yeah, you see that sign up there that like it'll be an advertisement, which they don't mean anything by it. It's just an advertisement, right? It'll be all white people up there, all happy and all this shit like that, right? Because they happy, whatever, right? Now, and they don't mean anything by it, because again, Czech Republic is like 95% white, right? But what does that tell people who aren't white, right? Who are living here and they grow up just seeing that, right? Now, I'm not saying it's done on purpose, but it is a situation. Now, this is the part where the whole woke thing and all that comes into play, and that's a whole nother issue. But I did stumble on this one video. I think he's a popular YouTuber. Like his name's like Asmar Gold or some shit like that. It's this white dude, and he was talking about this video game company, like Miss Date, some fucking woke video game company, and they were trying to say how it was something along the lines, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something along the lines of white people should not be allowed to make movies about slavery or something like that, right? It was something along the lines of that. It was something like white people should not be allowed to make. Oh, this is what it was. It was this kind of gay black dude. And he was talking about Quentin Tarantino made bad movies and they need to be erased from history and all this. Which I think Quentin Tarantino is a great dude. I think Quentin Tarantino. I don't see anything wrong with Quentin Tarantino at all. Um, I think he's a great guy. I've never seen a movie of his that I didn't like. I've seen some that I did go back and watch Inglorious Bastards, and I actually ended up loving it because I hated it at first. I couldn't make it past the first 15 minutes, but when I did finally sit down and watch Inglorious Bastards, I thought it was fucking great. I think Quentin Tarantino made that, right? Inglorious Bastards. I mean, I spelled Inglorious, and I got this wire in the way. Did Quentin Tarantino make this? I think he did. It seems like something he'd make because it's pretty violent. Yeah, or he's at least in it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He made it. There it is, right there. So and he was saying, and the gay black dude was going on about how. Let me see if I can find that clip. It was somewhere on YouTube. Well, I don't even know the guy's name. Asmir Gold or something like that. Some shit. I don't know the guy's name, but he's a popular YouTuber. But there was a bit of confusion in it that really kind of annoyed me, right? Um, um, I can't even remember. I'm just gonna read this comment because I can't remember what it was. I'd have to find a video again to talk about it. Abe says, as a black Canadian, most of us are from our parents being Caribbean and Jamaican immigrants, but a portion of us are from American slaves who fled America on the Underground Railroad to Canada. Word up. Don't y'all get tired? What's this? Don't y'all get tired of whining and crying all the time? Does everything have to be through the lens of victimhood handed to you by the establishment? Okay, yeah, that's it. Asmongo. Yes, I'll look it up right now. Asmongo. So okay, so what's this? M Beast. So I'll say okay. I do get that statement. I do understand that statement. I understand where you're coming from, and I understand uh the the black people who seriously mean it, right? The confusion in the here's the thing about North America and the situation there with racism, because that's all I can truly speak on. and a little bit here, but I'm not going to go into that. But in North America and the racism there, I would say is not so much about getting something handed to you for free anymore. I think most African Americans, if you were to really ask them about it, they would tell you like it's not really about that anymore. Um, I think the bigger elephant in the room is trying to pretend like it doesn't exist, right? Is trying to pretend like there's no it's trying to pretend like there's no chance of any racism ever happening. I think that's the core problem. Now I'm not saying now again, I'm not trying to say like I don't want to see any white person hurt or anything. My spouse is white. I don't want to see any white person hurt. But I think the bigger issue is trying to pretend like nothing happened. Trying to pretend like nothing happened and also that nothing is almost guaranteed to happen. So for example, I'm gonna go in no MBs no I don't think you're a troll. Now I still haven't watched 10 Years a Slave because I'm too afraid it's gonna make me mad kind of thing. I still won't watch it because I feel like some of those movies are just made to make you mad, kind of thing. And I've never seen it, so I don't know. Maybe it's not, but that's just the feeling I got from it. I still won't watch 10 Years a Slave because I feel like it's gonna make me mad, kind of thing. Because it's like, okay, so yeah, so let me look up this one guy. Let me see what Asman, because he just made a video and I stumbled onto it and I watched it. He was talking about sugar baby or something like that. It was if I can find it. But what he had said was like a typical response. I can't find it. It was a clip. It was like and this dude he's heavy into YouTube, so he's probably got a million of them. What was that? It was a game company. It was like Sugar Baby or Honey Baby or it was some game company. It was this game. If anybody can find it, tell me the name of it, and then I'll look it up because I can't. It was a clip. It was one of those. Oh wait, maybe I can find it here in shorts. It was a clip, and it was like Sugar Baby. It was some game company. And while I do agree with them on some points. Other points is like a stereotypical response. Cause yeah, this guy's like heavy in it. Like this is his life, dude. This is dude's life. It was some Honey Baby shit or some shit. It was a video game company that's like woke. Let me see if I can Google woke video game companies. It was like Honey Baby. What the fuck? It was like Honey Baby. It's Honey Baby Inc. or something like that. Something Inc. I mean, it had ink in it. Sweet Baby Inc. That's it. Okay, yeah, Sweet Baby Inc. So let me type that in. Sweet Baby Inc. But it was a short. Can I find this short? Because I don't want to go through the whole. Because it was a black dude in it in the clip. Maybe I could find it on my phone. I think I liked it and tried to save it in my phone in case I got across it to do it in a live stream. Can't find it. Hang on. Yes. Okay. Yeah. You guys are already saying it. I'm pretty sure I saved it in here somewhere. If I can find it. And I just farted. Thank you. Oof. Wait, how do you? Wait, well, I'm asking y'all. Like, you can see this, but maybe I just liked it then. Cause I'm so bad with this shit. How you just find liked videos? Oh wait, here it is. Liked videos. I'm so bad with shit, man. Like, well, I'll tell you what, I just click on the video because, like I said, with the Asmongold dude, like he was saying something. Like now, like at first he was saying some good shit, but then it was like, oh no, here's the gay dude right here. This is him. Yes, okay, no, this is it. This is a 2 minute clip. This is it. So okay, so fair warning. I'm warning you on this. I'll probably get like they might stop the stream, or I'll probably wake up tomorrow to some copyright bullshit like I always do, and I don't give a fuck. But I'm gonna play this anyway. If this is the same video, which I'm pretty sure it is. Turn this colorful shit off. Okay.
Sweet Baby Inc. employee admits goal is burning games industry to the ground. What is this?
A Sweet Baby Inc. presentation resurfaced.
I'm a narrative designer and sensitivity reader with a company called Sweet Baby Inc. Cool, but why am I here?
Just so we're clear, this is a real slide. We want cooler stories, a safer world, burning the game industry to the ground. And then the Sweet Baby employee brings out an easy target, someone who is incapable of writing inclusive stories and thus needs the help of someone like Sweet Baby Inc., one of the greatest filmmakers and storytellers of our time, Quentin Tarantino.
Because in my work, I meet a lot of Tarantinos. As an auteur, Quentin Tarantino feels like someone who grasps after edginess when they don't understand that growth, it also comes from joy. He holds a no pain, no gain kind of mentality that I think is unshakably rooted in white supremacist patriarchal values.
Yeah, see, like now I think that's ridiculous. We just said right there. I think that's ridiculous. That's now with that statement, I think he was just reaching to get anybody. I think with that statement, see, okay, now M Beast. So I'm with it. So I do get where you're coming from. With a statement like that, he was reaching for anybody who was mad at themselves, mad at something else, to just hop on that, to just so they can feel an emotion again. I think everything he just said in that statement was bullshit. But I'm going to continue.
Hatred that is obviously rooted in white supremacy. I do think his work needs to be critiqued out of existence. The genre he's chosen with Django is blaxploitation. Arguably, this movie should never have existed because the truth is some stories are not yours to tell. And when
Yeah, and I think that's bullshit. I watched Django Unchained and I thought it was great. I thought it was amazing. Like all movies, it hits like, slow points, but in terms of where American history was in that time period. It's an action movie, so it's there's bullshit action. But in terms of like trying to bring white supremacy into it and all that, I think that was just a desperate reach. If you've actually seen the movie, I think it was a desperate reach.
When I say unequipped to tell, I don't mean in terms of resourcing. Creative people or teams who want to tell a story, they don't have the identity, perspective, experience, or empathy.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. See, everything that guy said, I think is bullshit. Because he doesn't have the life experience or anything to make it. Nobody does, because everybody from that time period is dead. Who was in Django Unchained was based in slavery years, because the Christoph Waltz character, he goes in and Jamie Foxx he's chained up with a bunch of other slaves being transported, and Christoph Waltz goes down there to find Django and frees him, and they go back and find, was there Esmeralda or whatever the fuck, Kelly Washington's character. It's a beautiful movie. I thought it was great. But it was no way, shape, or form near some type of like the typical like white man has to save the day kind of thing and all that shit. I don't see anything white supremacist about it, especially given the time period, things like this. I didn't see anything bad about it. Because I knew when Leonardo DiCaprio played that character, people was going to try to call him racist after that because he did a great fucking job. I don't see that. I think he was just a great actor who did a great job. I don't think Leonardo DiCaprio is racist at all. Like, at least, I don't know the guy, but not in like any type of like, like serious racist kind of way. I think everybody in that movie deserved an award. Everybody who even touched it, anybody who did the sound work, everybody who touched that movie deserves an award of some type because that movie was. I thought it was excellent. So yeah, everything he just said was bullshit. Everything he just said was just a typical reach for attention. So I agree with disagreeing with him. But I think where he's meant where the Asmund go, whatever his name is, when he chimes in, at first it's good, then it like dives back into like pretty much the same level of low, if I'm not mistaken.
So it's the white people can't tell stories about black people. Okay, so it's just like your traditional run-of-the-mill racist thing. They're saying you can't tell these stories because you're not of this identity, and that's why you need us. Like, most people see this and are like, this person is deranged. The problem is that these people want to insert themselves into spaces and then tell those spaces how to behave. They have no genuine desire to create a good product. All they have is an agenda and a worldview that they want other people to uphold and do. Good genre starts with representation on a creative team, right? And so this is it, right? These people create a problem to sell a solution. They say your problem is that you don't have representation and you need representation. And who has representation? A big surprise, it's us. It's all about creating a need for themselves to exist. And it's good to see people pushing back on it. And I hope.
So the complication with this is where do I start? Because he does have a great point at face value. You know, you create a problem to sell your own solution to the problem. Now, on the flip side, when you look at how many movie makers there are, how many the types of movies that get popular, why they're popular, for what reason, you'll start to dive more into why, like a little bit of where the Sweet Baby Ink dude was kind of going with that. And like I can see some points. I'm not saying all of them were right, but I do see some points. Like let's take for example, in any movie, right? The odds of you seeing a black man hook up with a white woman, those movies historically sell like shit. Right? Historically, movies where a black man goes and hooks up with a white woman historically end up either selling like shit or never making it to see too much past the light of day. Historically, right? But if you show a movie where a white man hooks up with a black woman, it still sells like shit, but it'll get the green light far before the other way happens, right? So with that being said, when it comes to making movies, like where I ended off with the agenda scenario, where North America, a country that was built on slavery, that was built on essentially narrowing it down to if you're brown, you are literally not a full human, right? And then you start to make movies off of that mentality, right? It's just gonna be a part of the culture to be like that and think like that. And if you just have so many people telling you this is right, then you're just gonna believe it's right. Right? And any extra thought would be evil. Right? But now on the other hand, on the other side of it, right? If a black guy wants to go out there and make movies, if a black guy wants to do this and that, it's automatically known if you want to make money, you have to sell it on the white agenda before you even stand a chance. Right? You may get lucky and be able to make something for a black community, but the black community doesn't have any money in North America. So there's no chance to make something purely for a white community. Right? I mean, there's no chance to make anything purely for a black community because the black community literally has no money. Period. So if you make something, it has to be tailored to the people who have money, right? So to make it, so for people who usually have a hard time understanding that, because for whatever reason, you always have to break it down to animals or food, right? So let's say you have 10 dogs, right? uh, uh, not literally 90% of them are Chihuahuas, and 10% of them are Rottweilers. Right, right. If you want to make, if you're gonna make chew toys to sell for dogs, which dogs are you gonna make the chew toys for on the majority? You're gonna make it for the Chihuahuas, right? The Rottweilers who are 10% are gonna get left out. They got to figure it out. Get out of here. Now I'm not saying it's all the time intentional, and I think that's the other part that gets both of the sides of the ethnicities confused. That is, it is always intentional. Sometimes it's intentional, but many times it's just the shit luck of the numbers at hand right now, like the advertisements in Czech Republic, right? It's just it's the shit. But with that inadvertent issue is going to come biases, right? Because now guess what? If you have 90% chew toys that's made for the 90% of Chihuahuas, and them 10% of Rottweilers be lucky if they get any chew toys, right? What is everybody going to now start to believe? That Chihuahua chew toys are superior because it's more of them. It's more of them. Everybody knows how to fix them because there's more population of them there. Everybody makes more clothes for, well, when you talk in terms of people, everybody's going to make more clothes for the Chihuahuas. They're going to make more soaps for the Chihuahuas. They're going to make more, you mean, more dental equipment for the Chihuahuas. They're going to make more beds for the Chihuahuas. And then Rottweilers going to get kicked out. So once you, now again, it's not on purpose all the time. But once this dynamic happens in humanity, what's going to start happening? Because people are people. If everybody walking down the street has a MacBook and then you come down the street with some old Asus shit, you're going to get laughed at, right? Because you're not doing what the social standard is doing. You're off. You must be off. You must be different. If anything, I'm going to doubt you first because you are not the norm. You're not the majority, right? So now, going back to media, when you have movies that are owned by who? I'll tell you, here's a quick exercise for anybody watching. Think about the richest man in movie making. Just imagine a man in your head, the richest man in movie making. What color do you think he is? What color man did popped up in your head when you imagined it? I guarantee you it wasn't a black dude. I guarantee you it wasn't a Arab guy. I used to do this exercise in university. Right now, just imagine in your head the head of recliner chairs. What image popped in your head? Was it a black man or was it a white man? Was it a brown man? Was it a Mexican man? Just be honest with yourself. Think about the first thing that you thought of when you thought about somebody who's rich and powerful in the world. I mean, or not even a rich and powerful, just a rich quality human who contributed to human society. What did you think about? I tell you what you thought about a white man. You didn't think about. See, this is what media now. Do you think with that simple exercise? See, these are the consequences of shit luck. You know, like I mentioned a long time ago, when them first slaves came to North America, them first whites really wasn't in North America. They see that hatred racism didn't come out until they had children, and them children grew up in that, thinking that they were better than them slaves. See them, I would guarantee you, the first set of slave owners were probably just like, okay, well, just go out there and pick cotton and figure it out, right? They weren't harsh or nothing. Like, I mean, probably a little harsh, but the worst were when them slave owners had kids, and them kids grew up watching that dynamic happen, and they grew up knowing that they were better, and the slaves grew up knowing that they were lower than them, right? That fucked it all up, right? And I've always been open about this. I've always been open about it. But so here's the thing. With the Sweet Baby thing, yeah, that was a desperate plea. But the point, okay, the possibility of a point, in my opinion, is this. Is when it comes to movie making, there is going to be a bias based off the country's history and the mentality of the country. And who is the media powerhouse of the world? It's North America. How was North America built? And there you go. Again, it may not be on purpose. It may not be intentional, but it's there. It may not be on purpose, but it's there. And you can't deny it. That possibility is going to be there. And to be clear, the same possibility can happen the other way around. If you take this dude, what's his name, Asmon Gold, whatever, Asmon Gold, and you take him to the hood, they gonna treat him the same way relative and that. See, that's why Asmon Gold does not go to the hood. Because he will now be treated like how if I went into his neighborhood, like an outsider, somebody who doesn't belong here, you might get hurt. We're going to find reasons to pick on you. We're going to find reasons. It's the same shit, right? Again, the only thing that the reason why it sucks is because, well, how the country was made, right? But it would be the same dynamic. Asmongold is not going to go down to over the Rhine is nice, but Asmongold is not going to go down to the hood. Because he's now, because in that 20 minutes of life, he's going to finally feel what it's like for him to walk around all goddamn day. And he doesn't like it. See, this is the point I'm trying to get at about race, about the racial issues in North America, right? See, he'll sit up and say all this shit out here, right? He'll sit up and say all this while he's walking down the street with people who look like him. See, now it's all the black people. It's all it's not the black people's fault, but it's they must have done something, blah blah blah. But in the same instance, see, Asmongold is not going to go walk down. Let's do this. Black. See, Asmongold would not walk down this street. Fucking period. He'd be pissing his fucking pants. Why? Because see, if he walked down that street for 10 minutes, he will finally start to feel what it's like for me walking down the streets of Prague. He's the outsider. He doesn't belong here. Something must be wrong with you or you must be special. But you're not normal. Get the fuck out of here, Asmon. And if he says anything else, he's fucking lying. I've grown up in both areas. Well, I never grew up in the hood, but I have plenty of family that live down there to this day, right? I'm not afraid. I'm uncomfortable, but I'm not afraid to walk down the hood, right? Because I know what the game is. I'm brown. If I just dress a little different, they're gonna know I'm not from there, and I still stand a chance of getting picked on. But I am more comfortable in there than he would ever be. Right. And see, now, if you took him and you had him just walk down this exact street, well, this is probably from the 70s, but you take him walking down that exact street and see, he's going to be scared. Why is he going to be scared? Because for that 10 minutes, he's finally going to see what it's like for the Sweet Baby Ink dude to walk down Asmongold Street on some level of feeling like he doesn't belong there. Yeah, you see how quick that adds up? You see how quick that adds up into something, right? Another exercise I usually have is to like when we were kids, right? When I was a kid, you'd have to go stand up and sing in a choir, some Christmas song or something like that, right? And how awkward it would feel as a black person to do that in this white Christian school, right? And so what I would do was, this another exercise I have is to tell like my spouse or somebody to go stand up in front of black people in a black church and sing some Aretha Franklin, or not even something that difficult. Just stand up in a black church and just sing anything. And you see how awkward that feels? Yeah, see, that's what life is for me all the time. You just had a 10-second glimpse of it. This is my life. I wake up in this. I wake up not knowing if somebody's going to look at me the wrong way and all this shit just because of how I look. Now, ask yourself this. Would Asmongold, see, now here's the sick part of racism, is would Asmongold be paranoid for walking down the street? Would he be paranoid? Would he be expecting a handout for walking down this street? Would Asmongold be crazy to be looking for somebody to be nice to him for walking down this street? No, not at all. No, Asmongold. No, he's well within his right to walk to feel awkward and scared walking down that street. He's well within his right. Yeah, no, he's not paranoid for doing that. Not one bit. No, not at all. But if I go walking down the street with all white people, now I'm paranoid and crazy, and it's all in my head, and yeah, it's this and that. Yeah, see how fast that flips. See how, and when I say racism, I don't mean this to like say it as like a hurtful way. I'm just saying it as the word for what it is. And I think that's another thing that's separating the races. Yeah, in the U.S. You 8 Asmongold have 911 on speed dial. Oh yeah, he'd be scared to death. Yeah. Yeah, see, it's not just in his head then. It's not just in his head. It's all in your head. Yeah, no, it's not in your head. No. No, it's not in Asmongold's head. He's not just paranoid. You're just paranoid. Yeah, just walk down that street, Osmond. Just go ahead. Like in Goodfellas. Yeah, just go. Remember when he was talking to Ray Liotta's wife? And she was all scared. That'd be Asmongold. But no. It's not in your head, Asmond. It's just in your head. It's just in your head. Just walk down the street, bro. You be all right. Walk down the street. Just make a left down that dark alley. You all right. You're all right. Yeah, no, it's not in Asmond's head. No, he's perfectly within his right to be afraid. To feel like somebody's gonna look at him wrong way. You thinking people's focus on him because he's white. Yeah, see, all that'll come out then. Yeah. But it's not just in his head. He's perfectly sane, perfectly normal. There's no reason for him to even question it. These things, right? But if I say it, then it's in my head, and as a black person, you gotta deal with that. You know, it's these things. It's a fucked up situation. Not gonna lie, as a black dude who's never been in America, I'd shit my pants too. The media makes it sound scary, LOL. It depends on what hood you're in, but you could really feel it out, honestly. Sweet baby, yeah. So MB's, no, I do agree with part. I do agree with parts. These corporate ad tiers make you just wistfully blaming white people and lame. Yeah. MBs, yeah, I do understand completely where you're at least somewhat completely where you're coming from, because there are a lot of people who just are just desperate for attention, desperate to just get in your emotions just to make you angry so you'll pay them more attention. And I think those people are pieces of shit. I think the way that the sweet baby dude phrased all that was a piece of shit, but at the deeper core of it, there is some logic to be found in there. But I think how he phrased it and came off, and then it's just flat out blaming Quentin Tarantino for white supremacy. I think that's just complete dog shit. But I think where that kind of came from off the cliff notes was the fact that all media is just not going to be made by anyone else for anyone else, and that's just a financial fact. Period. There's just no arguing that fact. Let's go to so this isn't even charting. Now, I'm not trying to say all white people are rich either, because I know somebody will think I've jumped to that conclusion. I'm not trying to say that at all. Financial distribution. This percentage distributed of household income in the United States by 2000, race and ethnicity. Let's see. Yeah. Asians like just completely took over. They definitely did. Let's see. Yeah. Asians end up cleaning shit up. With the blacks, look at the black. The blacks are literally the lowest. Can you see? Yeah, you guys can see that. Yeah, blacks are literally the lowest. So nothing's gonna be made for blacks. And let's just be completely honest. And I don't mean this to be racist or racial or anything. By the time the Asians are coming to North America, they're just riding. They're just up underneath the white population. Like, they're not coming there to hang out with anybody else by the time they're making money. Let's be real about it. Let's be all the way real. Most of them, by the time they're getting to North America, the I would say the most of them are either completely in business for themselves or they're just right up underneath the white population. So with that being said, like they'll just do anything that like that a lot of the white population would just do, like walk, talk, drive, eat. They'll just follow that. And I'm just being brutally honest, man. I still remember in the neighborhood I lived in, my dad still lives there, and there was some Cambodians. Cambodians were there, and they would do these, but all growing up, it was like there was always an Asian population in my living area, and it was always the same thing. It was always the same thing. If they can be accepted by the white population, we didn't exist. They didn't know rap music anymore. They didn't call us no more. They weren't trying to play they didn't know what basketball was anymore. They be outside hooping with us for weeks straight. And as soon as they got in with with the white people at school, they didn't come around us anymore. We were garbage. Right? We'd be lucky if they'd say hi to us while they was walking in the house. They act like they couldn't even come and say hello. Right? Once they fucked around, and then when the white people kicked them out, now they got time to come outside and play basketball, and then they know rap lyrics now. And all this shit. It was the weirdest thing, and I've always noticed that since I was a kid. I've always noticed that in my community where I grew up. That's how it was. Like they only fucked with us when they weren't accepted yet. Once they can ascend, then I remember because these ones we used to play basketball with, they had this cousin, and she was beautiful at the time, right? And she was dating a guy who was older, like most women will. And the guy went off to the military. He went off to the army, and it was a white dude, and he went off to the army, and I would come over and hang out with him. I bumped into him years later, and I would come hang out with him, right? And every time I would come over, because we used to play basketball when we were kids, and so every time I would come over, she'd be sitting on the couch reading a love novel about a dude in the military, right? So I could put together like she was like, she was in love with him, but he really wasn't in love with her because if she was in love with him like that and he was in love with her, she wouldn't be reading love novels like that, right? He had distanced himself from her, so she had to dive into love novels. Well, so it finally got to a point where I deduced that the guy finally just cut it off with her, and after that, I swear to God, every time I came over, she would be leaving the bedroom with a different black guy every time, and I was coming over a decent amount in these years. It was a decent amount. And every time I would come over, she would be coming out and it'd be a completely different black guy. Every time. Every time. And because it was brothers. And then when the older brother, because it was a nice flat, it was a nice apartment they had. It was a real nice place. But I remember when he fucked around, and because in this time they was going to the clubs and dancing. And then when he fucked around and got a job at a dentist's office, and he started wearing ties, he wouldn't even come out the room to come say hi to me anymore. Any of the black, he wouldn't even say hi to nobody. Just, but they was always like that. It was always that with them. They was always on that. It was like once they got off in that professional world and they could wear a tie, we don't exist. We ain't human no more. They've ascended for a while. They'll be like them Halle Berrys. They'll be back when they get kicked out. Now they hosting BET. To my brothers and sisters. But they get kicked out. But yeah. How is Tyler Perry a billionaire? It was a lot. There's rich black people. There's legit wealthy black dudes out there. They're far and few in between, but they're out there for sure. Tyler Perry whatever he did a great fucking job. Whatever he did a great fucking job. They're out there. They're definitely there's a lot of wealthy black dudes out there, but they're very far and few in between, and they're very far and few in between. You really got to search to find them. for sure. It's not something you're just gonna stumble on, randomly, like in news and shit. Like, you mean, like they're like fucking Loch Ness monster type of thing. Like, it's out there somewhere, but you better just count on never ever seeing it with your eyes ever in life. that Loch Ness monster is out there somewhere chilling, getting some Loch Ness pussy. But you ain't gonna never see. What's that big? What's that ape shit? The big ape? What's that ape motherfucker? Bigfoot. Bigfoot, the motherfuckers out there chilling somewhere. You better believe it. They out there somewhere chilling, getting Bigfoot pussy, and they probably fucking Bigfoot's probably fucking orangutans and everything, making all types of new diseases. He makes movies strictly for black people. Yeah. Tyler Perry, because my girl, she likes Tyler Perry. So here's the thing. Now with since they get so few, what I have seen is this: since they get so few black media, so little black media over here, that like they now don't be surprised if one does know who Tyler Perry is. It's still not a guarantee. Like my spouse, she loves Tyler Perry. Because in fact, she was saying some word that Tyler Perry says as Medea, and it was, I could tell she got it from Tyler Perry because she was pronouncing it how Tyler Perry pronounces it. And I can't remember what the word was. I don't care for Tyler Perry's, movies because she watches them on Netflix. I don't watch. I think they're on Netflix. I don't watch them. I don't care for them. And this is gonna sound severely contradictory. I don't care for a lot of black media, on a whole, because and the reason why I don't care for black media is kind of going to what's his name, XB, what was his name? What's your name, man? M Beast. It kind of goes back to what M Beast was saying. Black media, the reason why I don't care for a lot of black media is because it always comes back to this almost like begging you to like it kind of thing. I mean, like the Boondocks didn't have that. The Boondocks was kind of like the Boondocks was what's the right word? It was unapologetic in what it was, and that's why I loved it. I didn't watch every episode, but I did love any episode I seen. The Boondocks was unapologetic. It was just there. It was there. But the thing is, when you trying to make it in a media world where there's billions just being flushed down the toilet, and so you trying to make a way, like I don't care for much black media because they don't know when to turn off the begging or the begging vibes, right? Like they don't know how to turn it off. So like it's always this fucking feel good bullshit at the end. Like okay, because I think my girl's watching Coach Carter. I'd never seen Coach Carter, but she had it playing on Netflix one time, right? And I told her like halfway through the movie what was gonna happen. I told her like because they all the same. It's always like we'll overcome our poverty with basketball, or overcome our poverty with just acting like we got some damn sense, or we'll overcome our hardships with the power of song or the power of dance, right? It's always this shit, right? And I told my girl, watch. They gonna find some kind of way to get the kids to act right, to play basketball, and then at the end, watch, none of these kids are gonna turn into shit because they grew up in the fucking hood, right? At the end of the movie, they gonna phrase it like the kid grew up to be successful. Look, ain't none of them kids gonna be successful, right? I told her, watch. They gonna come with some sentences and say, yeah, Elron went to fucking Mississippi State University. Tito went off to become a barber and all this shit. I told her, watch. When we gonna read that shit, watch. All of them went off and fucking drowned in reality, right? They went off to university, played for like a semester, didn't even get to start, and dropped out of college because they had 2 kids, right? It was some shit like that every time. It was like it is what it is. Like, it is what it is. It always comes back to this, like, I'm begging you to like me, please make me feel good because I'm black and I want money and I want this You know what I mean? It always, so I don't care for black media. I don't watch the vast majority of it because it's historically, well, I won't say historically. It's always come back to that. I'd say since the early 2000s. It's always come back to that. It usually, for most things I can remember. Now I did watch all the Roots. Roots was good. I really did. I thought Roots was really good. Even as a kid, I thought Roots was really good. Uh, I'm just thinking. I'm thinking about In the Heat of the Night right now with the guy who played Archie Bunker. That both his characters were good. I just can't even think of much shit right now. The Blind Side was a terrible movie. Yeah, I'd never seen it, but if Sandra Bullock was in it, there's a good chance it probably was because she's in that. She's part of that population that has to sell to. Sandra Bullock is in a weird position in life. But I would never watch a movie made by I would never watch a movie made with Jennifer Lopez or Sandra Bullock in it because my spouse, she loves Jennifer Lopez, and I was trying to think of a movie with Halle Berry in it, and she goes, "Oh, was Jennifer Lopez in it?" I said no because I wouldn't have watched it if Jennifer Lopez was in it because I already know it's gonna be some pit bull shit. Right? It's gonna be some shit made for the masses. It may not be horrible, but it's gonna be something made for the masses, right? And it's usually like some cheesy shit that needs to sell to suburban kids because that's where the money's at, right? It's got to be some cheesy shit like that. So, what's up, Jen? So Blindside, I'm not surprised. I that falls right into what I thought it would be. I never watched was that where she played with the with the when she they had to cover their eyes or something. I never watched that, but that did look good. The few parts I did watch of it. Um, I just now Speed was great with Keanu Reeves. That was the only time I seen Keanu Reeves even act where it was good, and he actually had to do something. Speed she was in Speed. That was good. She played a good role. It was mostly because she was just really just being herself and panicking. But Speed was good. I would even to this day I would still recommend Speed. I think Speed. Maybe I'm just seeing it with nostalgia because I'm fucking 40 now. But I would say I would recommend anybody to watch Speed. I think even at the core, Speed still has good logic behind it, a good setting. It didn't need special effects. It was what it was, and it was action in it. It was. I think Speed is still one of those movies. I think Speed is one of those movies that should weirdly age excellent because of the subject matter. Have you seen you us or nope? No, us or no. AD likes pandering to YouTube. Black American men to make business overseas and get dual citizenship. Yeah, it's possible. But yeah, yeah, that's just why I had with this scenario. Yeah, the whole thing of just the confusion in media on a whole, right? Like just that whole confusion with the issue with media. And the thing is, I think the Sweet Baby Inc guy was just as confused. I think he's just as confused. Uh, but the thing is, if you just throw racism out there, if you just say words like white supremacy, racism, and these kind of words, you're going to get people to listen, and that's why yeah. And then with him being the age he is, I don't think. I think he's essentially just going to be a Greta Thunberg. Wherever you remember that girl, wasn't it Greta Thunberg? He's essentially just going to be a Greta Thunberg, just be a fucking a parrot for a parrot preying on a certain demographic to get their interest, almost like Taylor Swift with the NFL. They're showing Taylor Swift celebrate touchdowns to get women's attention in the football now, American football. I think Greta Thunberg, she was whatever her name was, just saying she's just going to be a cheerleader parrot, like this black dude. He's a cheerleader parrot, right? He hasn't. I highly doubt he's seen or dealt with enough on his own terms to truly see some shit or realize some shit or understand some shit. So thanks for the $10, man. JM, thanks a lot, man. Oh, it says platypus. Okay, up here it says platypus dreams. Thanks for the. I can't move it. It's not. Uh-oh. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Just pull it up. Here, alert box. Here it is. You move this. I'm gonna get off here in a minute, but let me play that again. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. AD keeps it real. All black people don't need to think alike. Yeah, man. Okay. Like I said, now I do agree with Beast. If you're still here, Beast, I hope you didn't get pissed off because that's not my intention. M Beast, I hope you're still here. And I'm not saying this just to hold on to a view or anything like that, but there are definitely black people who do, like this kid here. He was definitely reaching in all the wrong ways. Let's say like for example, like the Greta Thunberg, whatever her name is. Okay, what she was saying, if you did pay enough attention to these things that she was talking about at the time, if I remember correctly, they weren't necessarily wrong. They were probably out of place for her and her age group and these things, and she probably just had a complete misunderstanding about certain things. But she's essentially the cheerleader parrot for the core of the issue. Now, when I say the core of the issue, that can bring out, so many different types of people, so many different types, man. Because with a situation like Black Lives Matter, like these things, I was never a complete fan of Black Lives Matter because I knew what that would trigger. And then I knew what something like, okay, I knew what that would trigger. Making a group like that was going to trigger backlash, severe backlash, and these things for good and bad reasons, right? Mostly bad, but it was going to trigger certain things, right? Almost like, okay, like for example, the only reason why BET is allowed to get away with being called BET is because they play stupid shit on BET that will inevitably keep black people dumb and retarded. That's why it's okay to do that. But if it had been called like BET and it had been like educational shit, right, and it had STEM programs being taught on there, and all, see, that would have been a major problem. That would have been a problem. But see, the fact that it's black entertainment television and they're showing baby mamas and drug dealers getting shot and all this, you see, like, it's a problem, but it's allowed, right? Because there's no form of growth there, right? Now, when you try to make something called Black Lives Matter and in it actually having some sort of core reason behind it, right? When you take, for example, the amount of black people who get shot every year versus the amount of white people who get shot every year by the police, at the ratio of the population, yeah, see, then that's where too much logic starts to step in. People say, well, I'm not racist just because blah, blah, blah. Because I feel sorry for the white population because the white population is stuck in this position where, like, if they just missay a word, they could be deemed racist. Right, and racist is just a word that has become this almost not a death sentence, but it's like this not a tattoo, but it's besmirched. I can't think of the right word. It's become this scar, right? So it's like the white people can't really say anything against it unless they just lash out in a more violent way. Something like that, or risk being called racist. So their backs up against the fucking wall, right? And but then it's like if you even start a conversation, and if the white person even just missteps and says one thing that can be sensitive to any brown person in the room. Now they're just a racist now, right? And it's just this really just super, especially in America, it's a super sensitive topic because in North America, I think it's much more of a sensitive topic because of the country's history. Whereas when you deal with these countries that never got involved in colonialism and shit like that, like they don't, I mean, it's still in these places like Czech Republic, but it's nowhere near like the same way, right? It's nowhere near the same context, right? These countries that were never involved in colonialism, the countries that never had a big handle in maritime trading, these countries don't really get it. Being called racist is like the N word to white. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd say it's in the same boat, but it's fucked up. It really is fucked up, right? Because me and my spouse, like I make racist jokes all the time with her, right? Like for example, like she'll do something out in the world, and like somebody calls, like a problem, like, I don't know, like at a tram stop or something like that, right? And I'll just turn over with a straight face and go, they were black, weren't they? Those fucking blacks, they just cause all types of trouble, right? And I remember we was at a park one time. We was at a park, and I think some toys were like sloppy or something. I said, "Yep, see, I knew it. They let black people in here." Like, I'll make jokes with her. She gets the joke, and we laugh about it. Um, but she doesn't feel comfortable. Like, I could tell she doesn't feel comfortable when I make a black joke, and we're talking to my dad on a video call. I say like a black joke, as like 'cause she doesn't want to be seen. Because like I like because white people, I think white people genuinely, I think it's like a unanimous thing. Like every white person knows that like they don't want to be seen as racist, right? So it's like, and she's had my son. My son is mixed, right? She has my son, and we joke about race all the time. But she doesn't even feel comfortable if I make a joke around my dad, like on a video chat, something like that, right? She'll still just get real quiet and just try not to laugh or anything, right? Because she doesn't want to be seen as potentially racist. And I think it's fucked up that like white people around the world have have that constant risk of accusation, right? It's fucked up. Like it really is. Like so like I can't be racist, but they like you can't call me racist, right? Like she could not call me racist. Like a Czech person could not call me racist, whereas I can call a Czech person racist, right? And another Czech might hear it and be like, what, that type of thing, right? But like they cannot call me racist. Like it's like that is the word, like as a black person you are immune to on earth, like that you have because of history you have permanent immunity to ever being called racist. That is a problem only white people know. Like white people, they like it's a universal thing, dude. Like it is fucked up. It's fucked up because it's my own spouse who has my child, and when it's me and her, or if it's like if I'm in a room with like one of my Czech friends, or like even some of my students, right, will make jokes, right? And it's just me and them. But here's the weird part too. Here's another weird part. So like, we'll talk about the gypsies, right? Now, when I'm out in the world, and of course they know that I'm not Czech, I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% sure if they know that I know calling them gypsy is bad. It's like calling them the N word, right? So like we'll be cool, we'll be talking, and especially if they don't know me, like know me, we'll talk about it, and they'll say yeah, and they're gypsy, and I like have it just be this uncomfortable look on their face when they say the word gypsy. So I don't know if they're like judging me to see like if I'm judging them for using the word gypsy, if they know that I even know that it's a bad word for them to say, because or if they just feel awkward because like technically, like, I'm in the same boat because I'm brown here. If anything, I'm in a lower boat because I'm black, right? In terms of social status in the world. So it's like it really ends up this weird situation because I have American English. I'm from America. You see my passport, my residency. You know, you hear me talk, right? So it's like that boosts me up. But then we get to talking about gypsies. It's like this weird. You can see it in there, like in them. It's like this is weird, like car crash that happens. Like, wait a minute, but you're one of them, kind of. Like, I get it, and I get it, man, because they're not used to talking to people who don't look like them. So I'm never mad about it. I never get mad about it. But it's awkward. I say dark jokes about Mexicans. Yeah. St. George Floyd was a Freemason. Chest tat is a direct Masonic saying. Now that was fucked up. Now with the George Floyd dude, now they say he was like high on drugs and all that shit. Even if he was high on drugs, I'm still in the party that says that was still fucked up. The dude to just sit on his neck like that to just casually sit on somebody's neck like that with your fucking knee and all your weight down is fucked up, right? That's fucked up. Even if the dude had just got done robbing a bank and all types of shit, you would not do that. You would not sit there just casually with your knee. Like, I don't care what he did at that point. Let's do George. To just sit, I don't care what he did. To sit there just that casually, like, dude, like, you need to be fucked up. And it's not even because he's black. It's because that is a man, and you just sitting there casually on camera with your knee on a man's neck like that. You need to be in prison for fucking murder. That's murder. Fucking period. I don't care what he did. All right. I don't care what he did. If you can sit there as a human and casually put your knee on the back of somebody's neck who's on the pavement, right? And just sit there casually like that with your hands in your pockets just chilling, you are fucked up. Period. Period. I don't care if he was high on heroin, cocaine, PCP, and weed. I don't care what he was on. You sat there with your knee on his neck like that, just that. Now I can see if it was like a tussle and y'all was fighting and you and maybe he pulled a knife or maybe he was just a strong dude and you didn't and you just panicked and you was trying to get him down, right? And you just happened to have your arm up there because you was trying to hold him because he was trying to get out. And then he screamed, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Okay, now I get it. Like, you was in the heat of battle. You didn't know what was going on. You're a human. You just kind of panicked. Or even if you didn't panic, your job was to restrain him, right? I'm completely on your side then. But this man is, he is clearly at a point where he can't defend himself. None of that. There was nothing stopping him from just getting down and just holding him by the head on the ground, some shit like that. This is, the heat of battle is not even in existence at this point, right? At all. There's no reason to be sitting like this unless you was genuinely intent on hurting this man at this point, which maybe, George Floyd, I'm sure, was not a fucking saint, and maybe he deserved to be hurt. But this, come on. Be real about this. Be honest about yourself. Be honest about this situation. I'm not saying George Floyd was a fucking saint. Maybe he was a piece of goddamn shit. Maybe he was a drug addicted piece of shit, right? But you sitting with your knee on this man's neck on the pavement. There is no, you're so relaxed. You got your hands in your pocket and communicating with people on cell phones, recording you. No, like, yeah, you were all the way fucked up, bro. You need to be in prison for that. I don't care what color he was. You need to be. If the colors, it's easy for me to say this now, but if the colors were, if it was a black cop on a white dude's neck like that, you need to be in prison for that. and let's say if he didn't die, the fact that you was just like that on that sensitive of a position on a human's body, you don't need to be you don't need to be a cop. Period. And I very rarely say something like that, but yeah, no, you don't need to be doing that. He needs to be in prison. Period. He needs to be in prison. Period. Do Europeans view Black Americans versus Africans differently or the same? Different. I used to hang out with a group of Africans. Actually, I was at their. They wanted me to come over because the one friend of mine, he was getting married. And they just got divorced, like I think a year ago. I bumped into him at the train station, and he told me they got divorced. But I went over to their flat to eat, and that was one of the first questions I asked them. I said, "Do you think that I'm treated differently because I have an American passport?" And all of them immediately said yes. Immediately. Even his wife was a Czech girl, and she was a cute Czech girl too. She said yes. Immediately, the immediate response was yes. Yeah, you're definitely different. Especially once they know. Because I was hanging out with a friend of mine, Czech guy. I was hanging out with him in his shop. He has a family shop. That's where I bought my telescope from. His name's Adrian. If you come here to visit me, there's a good chance I've taken you up there to him because he'll always come out and pour shots. And I'll go back and buy him liquor to, give it to him. Kind of, but oh shit, I forgot where I was going with that. African American. I forgot where I was going with my friend. Hey, I was thinking about my friend. His name's Adrian. He's a Czech guy. He's a white Czech guy. I have this shop. I had it for years. And we've been friends for years. Pretty much since I first moved in here, because that's when I bought the telescope. So it's been 4 years now. Great guy. Doesn't speak English. Doesn't speak good English. It's like it's not conversation level, but he can piece together some words, but I'll just speak my bad Czech, and we've been friends like that ever since. If you've come here to visit me, there's a good chance you met Adrian. He was a guy we walked and you got to go downstairs into there, and he'll always come out and pour some alcohol, and we just hang out and talk for at least an hour. Oh yeah, this is where I was going. So one time, I went there about 2 weeks ago after I taught a class, and he always has somebody in there that he's friends with. Somebody, whether it's the police officers across the street, they come over and drink with us. Just random people in the neighborhood, they'll come in and he's friends with them. So I come in there this time, and there was this I don't know where this guy was from, but he looks at me and he goes, Nigeria, right? So I got mistaken, like just because I'm black, some of the Czechs, they'll just see that you're black and they just automatically assume you're African. Other Czechs, like they'll look at me and they can tell I'm not African. Like my spouse, like she says like I don't look African at all. Like she can see it. But other Czechs, they just see black and immediately think African. So I said from now on, whenever somebody asks me, if somebody asks me if I'm from Africa, I'm gonna throw on the African accent, like, yes, I am from Africa. I'm just gonna throw a shitty accent on just to fuck with them. Because I had this other guy on a train. He randomly just approached me and just wanted to shake my hand and wanted me to come sit with him, which was weird. And I said no, because I don't fucking know you. And so he sits down in a chair next to me, standing up. And he goes, "Where you from? You from Africa?" I said, "Yeah, I'm from Africa." And in American English, he didn't know. I'm from Bosnia, Herzegovina, or whatever that shit is. He was from Bosnia. It's like, come on, I'm a normal guy. He just wanted friends, but he's just awkward, But the police officers. So Nick, yeah, that's the other thing. See, the police officers, if you're in North America, I would say at least, the police officers here are far more human. Far more human. You don't have that sense of fear or any. I mean, I still kind of do a little bit because I grew up in North America, but yeah, the police here, they're not a hunting type. They're not trying to pick with you and all that. Like they're definitely like human. Like they're just regular people. That whole like American Westerner police of trying to save the world and all that. That's an American thing with police, and that's what makes you end up afraid of them because they're trying to save the world and get promotions to get more money and or they let the power get to their head because if they don't think like that, then regular civilians will think of them like that. So it's just this really weird situation in North America. But over here, yeah, the police officers were cool because his shop. I should actually show you. I'll show you his shop because you can call there and ask like, do you know this guy? Well, if he understands you, he'll tell you. I'll show you where his shop is. Oh, go to Google Maps because the police station is literally right across the street. Let's do this. Oh no, not this one. Yeah. So his shop should be right here on the corner. If you watching, man, you came to see me about a month ago. We actually walked over here. So his shop is right here. See this Olympus? This is his shop because you got to walk downstairs to get in there. That's his shop. And you see this? This is the police cars right here. And the police station is, I'm pretty sure it's this building. It's up there. There's a restaurant down there. I've never been in that restaurant, but the police car is like right here. And they'll come in and drink coffee or drink, or I'll be in there drinking and they'll come in and ask for coffee. Or I think sometimes they even come in and drink some alcohol with us. They cool. It's not that thing in North America where like everybody's afraid they're going to be getting told on by somebody else and all that shit like that. No, they're more. Now that is a good part about human. When it comes to humanity, they're much better with staying human over here than in the U.S. That's one thing I love about Europe. They're much more better at staying human, right? They like the titles don't go to their head anywhere near as much like they do in North America in that search for identity. And I think that's a consequence for America being so united and massive is that once populations get that united and massive, they lose all sense of identity. Whereas in Europe, since they never united, the people still have a little more sense of individual identity and comfort in that. So that comes out in these positions. So, like I said, man, like they'll come over. There's been plenty of times they've done it. Come over because the first time I was a little scared, of course, because police officer, right? And you're like drinking in public, in the store, like where customers just walk in. Because if I could take you in, I'd take you in and show you where his desk is, but it's like straight back, and we just sit out there and just drink. And if I gotta go pee, he goes, oh yeah, Wendell, just take the key. You know where the bathroom is. You gotta like walk down this hallway in the back room. It's like way in the back. Yeah, it's like that's just what it was. So when I do make fun of Czech people, like that's just when I'm like ranting negatively. But there's some great experiences at the same time. So you know how people just focus on the bad, especially if you're ranting. But what's up, Papa Midnight? I remember you, man. I hope the business is going good. I remember exactly who you are. I'm usually bad with names, but I remember exactly who you are. I hope the business is going good. A knee to the back does not choke you out. If you cannot breathe, you cannot talk. That's why he was saying he cannot breathe. That's because the drugs were kicking in and stopped his heart. They already got photos of him with a baggie in his mouth and that he swallowed. Word. The DA put him in jail because they didn't want to piss people off. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But even okay, Achilles, I see your point with that. Though some Europeans not treat some people non-human depending on where they're from. Oh yeah, the concept of being from a richer country, poorer country, it's very strong. Americans don't really get it. See, America, I think you're not. I don't think you're in America, Jive. I can't remember exactly, but in Papa Midnight is going along. A lot of work to do. One step at a time, man. So when America, when we see a poor country, like let's say for example, like a poorer country, I won't say a poor country, but like a lesser financially sound country, right? Because when we think of these countries, we just say like, oh wow, no, it's a poor country, maybe a little dangerous, but that's about where it ends, right? Like Americans don't view. See, okay. Americans tend to not view we don't view poor countries as like the same way like how pretty much the rest of the world does. But let's just use Europe as an example. Um, si- since Europe always stayed in this position of competing states and they never united, the whole sense of who's really better off spread much more amongst the competing states. Whereas, like, say, let's say in the U.S., like a Californian could possibly say like a person from Ohio was like a little rough and all this stuff like that. But we would, okay, a California person would not seriously have this kind of like demeanor about them about Ohio or Missouri or some shit like that, right? Because because in the end of the day, we're all American, right? Because it's that united. We're American first, and then the state and city second and third. Whereas in Europe, you're the country first, and then the town you grew up in second, and then the street you grew up on third, and then you're European fourth, right? And that's the difference in the identity of the two, right? As an American, I'm American. If you're from Maine and I'm from Ohio, the next person's from South Dakota, the other person's from Nevada, we're all American, right? Now we could say some little things are weird about these other states, but we're all American, right? I could move to Maine. You could move to Ohio. I could move to South Dakota. Where it's just united. We see the whole country as our playground, not just Nevada's playground or not just South Dakota's. We as civilians, we see all of North America as our playground that we can just drive to, bus to, whatever. It's just our world, right? Where Europe is the exact opposite of that. Even city to city, they can have severe issues, much deeper than American issues, right? Even in Czech Republic, they have completely different words just depending on the region. Like for example, like we because this I like to trick people. I like to mess with people's heads with this. So Czech Republic is I think it's 3 districts in total, but the main 2 are Moravia and I think Bohemia. I'm just because I'm getting tired now, but it's split up. Now the Moravian side of Czech Republic, which is the southeast, I believe, they have their own they have their own Czech, right? They have their own words, and they have an accent to other Czech people. So, but like the other Czechs, they of course they have different words. So the proper way of saying like where are you from, you say odkud. Odkud is where are you from? I'll show you. Is my internet working? Okay, yeah. Oh, when you travel, you get used to Google Translate real fast. Odkud is like from where are you from? Right? Now, I never even spelled it out. I never even written it out. But if you speak in with Moravian Czech, it's like I don't know how to spell it. I've never actually spelled it. So like yeah, because in Moravian Czech it's skamise is like where are you from? So I like to fuck with Czech people and use the Moravian Czech because they're not going to expect that coming from a black dude. They're going to expect if anything they're going to expect the proper Czech, not the Moravian Czech, right? So I like to fuck with Czech people and use like Moravian Czech just to see the look on their face when I say it. From Mexico. Okay, Mexico. And I just was talking about Mexico as a poor country. Yeah. But as an American, like we see Mexico as dangerous, of course, because it's poorer than North America. We see Mexico like don't be surprised if an American will see it like that, and don't be surprised if at the border you're gonna have some Americans who are gonna be like kind of shitty towards you, but it's a different that is a different scenario than in Europe. Like for example, well, maybe it's not so much different. Maybe it's not so much different. Maybe it's just I think it's different because it's just smaller. It's a smaller situation in America than it is in Europe, because like I said, when I was going to Kiev and I told every Czech person I knew I was going to Kiev, Ukraine, everybody was like, "Oh, don't go out there. That's a poor country. You're not gonna find anybody who speaks English because they're poor. They don't get good education. They're poor out there." Every Czech person I knew, I told them I was going to Kiev. When I got deported, every Czech person said the same thing. Don't go to Kiev. That's a poor country, and they were serious. Like, can't you go somewhere else, right? But when I used to drive to Germany, when I used to drive to Dresden, and I meet, some people like in a video game store or something. I remember this one time I was in a video game store, and I was talking to these two guys. They were talking, and they were German, but they could speak English. And he says, "Yeah, where you live, man?" I said, "Oh, I live in Czech Republic. I live in Česko live in Czech Republic." And they go, "Phew, you live in Czech Republic? How you live there, man? That's a poor country. They don't. How you live there? The education is just terrible." And they neighbors like that. Like it's just like that just as if going from Indiana to Ohio or as if going from Nevada to Arizona, right? And they have that massive jump in language, currency, these things, right? Yeah. Do you notice a difference in how Czech men simp for their women compared to American men for American women? Well, first I'll start with this, and I'm gonna get off here. I think that the simping in Czech Republic is more acceptable because the Czech women will just be better quality overall. And then they'll you speak, multiple languages. They'll usually know how to cook. Uh, they'll be feminine. That's a big thing. Feminine is just normal here, whereas in the U.S., femininity is viewed as a weakness by feminists, and this spread amongst women. Now, all women in America just have this shit attitude unless you're, a somebody. Um, I'll start with, I think simping is more acceptable here. But with that being said, uh, I think when a relationship ends, the Czech men end up more pathetic. In the many times I've seen it happen, I think they end up more pathetic when a relationship ends. When it starts, I don't think they're anywhere near as bad as them. No, well, no, it's not even. I don't think they are not anywhere near as bad as where America has come with simping in the starting. But it's when the relationship ends is when they get bad. Like they just expect you know, to just give their entire life savings away, these kind of things. Give them millions in Czech crowns. It's like they just expect now. I don't think they don't get as hung up as American men do on a woman for as long. They don't get as hung up from what I've seen, but they'll still be. You'll be fucked up when a relationship ends for one reason or another. Uh, But with all that being said, I think simping is more acceptable because the women are at least of a good because women over here are at least of a good womanly quality, right? They're at least of a good womanly quality to start out with. So I think it's more. But even then, in the earlier phases, um, when you're okay, see in America where these guys are like sending women hundreds of dollars and all this shit like that. See over here, even when guys are simping, even in their journey of simping, I think it's more acceptable because the journey of simping ends up being, pay for a plane flight to Italy for a week, right? And the plane flight is like $150. You can find them cheaper than that over here, right? So like the path of simping is more acceptable. Whereas in North America, a dude will send a bitch $150 to get her nails done, right? And to go eat some thawed out lobster, some shit lobster, right? Like so when the guys in America are simping and giving women money, it's not even really going to any adventure in the end. It's not really going to anything that can create an actual life experience for anybody. It's just going into mall shit, right? It's just going into to malls, right? Whereas over here, like when the guys here simp, like they're actually creating adventures within the simping. So there's something else to be, there's another gain in the simping. Like I said, out here you can buy a plane ticket to France. Probably let's look it up right now. I'm really bad at looking at plane flights, but let's look it up. I'm notoriously bad for looking up plane flights. Flights from Prague to. I'm notoriously bad for doing this, so just a warning. But let's see this. Yeah, see, and this is probably like, in the next few days. It's like $200. So 5,000 crowns is the equivalent of $200, about 250, something like that. Let's do this. Well, I think the plane flights have gone up too recently. I think they did used to be cheaper, and also I'm notoriously bad for looking up cheap plane flights. But this is just the first Google search I found: flights from Prague to Paris, $200. You know, round it up, round down, average about $200, right? So when guys in America are simping for these dingbat women in North America, and they're just talking about giving them thousands of dollars and all this shit, like, no, dude, you could do so much more over here with that. Like, if you wanted to just simp, you can make a whole life adventure off of simping over here. Whereas in North America, you can't. I mean, you can, but it's gonna be a lot more expensive. Over here, you can make a whole life adventure from anywhere in Europe. It really is not just Prague, but I'm just using Prague as an example because that's where I am. But let's just do Milan. From Prague to Milan. Let's do departure 19th to let's do a week in Milan. That's not even $60. If that's what the price was. Yeah, it's not even $60. To fly from Prague to Milan, Italy, is not even is roughly $100. Right? Well, can you guys see that? Is it too small? That's what she said. So you see that from Prague round trip. Well, this is for one. Let's move it up to two. So for two, about $150, $150, $200 for two people. Round trip flight from Prague, Czech Republic to Milan, Italy, is roughly about $200 for the plane flight. Of course, you got to pay for your room and board and all that shit, but the plane flight alone is $200, right? And that's not counting, like, if you want to ride a train. Let's do this. A train from, if you want to ride a train from. It's a 15-hour ride on a train. I wouldn't do that, but with 3 transfers, let's see how much it's going to cost. Let's see where. $60, $50 for one person. Let's do this one. Let's do 2 people. Searching, yeah, bullshit. Searching, you stealing my fucking data. Rail Europe. Oof, no, that's not right. What is this? $600? No, something's wrong with this. That is not $600. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with this. Or maybe that's some kind of, not even first class. No, something's wrong with that. That's just not right. 19 hours. Yeah, you better at this rate. You better off just flying with two people. If this is right, something happened because these prices are crazy. Even these prices are crazy. Yeah, you'd be better off just flying to Italy than riding a train. These prices are crazy. They talking about $300-$400 for that, $400-$500 for that. Yeah, them prices are crazy. Yeah, you be better off flying to Italy than riding a train. How long did it take you to realize that you had value? How long did it take you to realize you had value as a black man abroad? When I was in Argentina, before I came to Czech Republic. When I was in Argentina, and I got on I was doing OK Cupid and Tinder at the time, and and like most men, I had no matches ever in America. Now, luckily, the few I did, and I actually went on a date. The girls were actually really good looking, but it was like, dude, literally a 99.9% chance I would have no matches in online. Nobody messaged me back anything in online dating. But when I went to Argentina, that was the first time I actually had some type of matches. I was like, wow, like a woman can actually like me. Now, it wasn't a lot of matches, but I had matches. And I remember I met with this Vietnamese girl, and we did cocaine at night. I told that story a long time ago. We did cocaine at night, and I had to go teach class the next morning. I didn't sleep because I was on cocaine. And I got real sick the next night, real sick. But yeah, when I was in Argentina, when I was in Buenos Aires, and then when I came to Czech Republic, that was when online dating was still like okay over here. I remember I had so many that I can actually scroll up my matches. I didn't know that was even a feature in online dating. Like once you get so many matches, you can scroll up the matches, scroll to see all of them. I even know that was a feature in the app. That's how bad I was in online dating. But online dating now is going to Tinder's going to shit over here. I didn't even know how bad it got until people started telling me. Tinder. Last time I was on Tinder, it was pretty good. Like I was every time I would log into Tinder, like just to fuck with it, I would at least get like a match every time I logged in, right? Um, but then they were verified matches. Like I would end up calling them and talking to them. They were like, unless they have some scam where they had people pretending to be the match they were. I had legit talked to them, video chatted with them, shit like that. But I've heard online dating has gotten so bad now, it's really just not even worth it. I've just found that out over the last few months, just from talking to people. It's rough. I went on Tinder for the Philippines. I went on Tinder, Philippines. Oh, here in Canada. Oh, you did the online, the abroad shit. Okay, you made your location in the Philippines, and it was endless matches. Here in Canada, only fat women match me. Yeah, yeah, Abe, that's. Dude, I couldn't even get fat women to match with me in America. Like I couldn't get any matches. I don't know if it was something with my profile. Maybe I fucked it up. I don't know, but I couldn't get any matches. I got no matches in North America. Very few and rare in North America. I've never been good with online dating. Never. Never. I never had like a great spree with it. My whole thing is if I gotta get to like talking, right? But I couldn't even get fat women to match with me. How do I respond to Western women trying to say you're a loser for leaving? I just don't even respond to them. Just leave. At that point, you don't need her validation because she already thinks you're a loser. Then just leave. Don't even deal with her. Just leave. What? Why does it even matter to her? Why would that even get a response out of a woman that you're gonna leave like that? Why? Just leave. Just like her. In my opinion, there's no need to even respond to that woman or women or anybody. There's no need. Okay, there's no need, because here's the thing: it's the same game. And like I said a while, and I'm gonna leave after this. I said this a while back, man. The whole, because I'm not technically a passport bro, 'cause I didn't really come here to find a woman. It just it ended up happening because I just didn't want to go back to North America, honestly. But I didn't come here to find a woman. But I knew I would never marry an American woman. I always knew that. But um, with the passport bro thing, man, like the whole world has always been passport bro shit. It's just it just wasn't technically passport bro. It was city bro, or it was town bro, or it was, county bro, right? You, a regular dude, me, a regular dude in Ohio, right? I'm a nobody. I'm working this job, making, let's say, 35K a year, and I move down to the hood where all the bitches down there make 10,000 a year. I'm a county bro now, right? I just go down there and get all the pussy, right? You can always go to a poor neighborhood, and because women are prostitutes by nature, you will get some pussy in that poor neighborhood. That's what it is. All the way up to billionaires. It's the same thing, right? A lawyer in Hamilton County, Ohio, could not go to New York City lawyers' neighborhoods and get pussy. Why? Because those New York City women want dick that's bigger and better than them. But that Ohio Hamilton County lawyer could go to Walmart, Ohio, and clean up with pussy because he's a county bro. It's always been that. It's always been that exchange is always there because of woman's nature. It's just county bro. It's city bro. It's profession bro. Right? It's all the same shit. It's profession bro. That's what I would call it. It's a profession bro. Profession bros have always been a thing, right? A fucking firefighter in fucking Indiana who makes 65K a year could not go to fucking New York City and get with them firefighters and pull pussy from bitches who want firefighters, because them firefighters making more money than Indianapolis, right? So what them Indianapolis firefighter bros do? They go in Macy's and Sears bro areas and clean up with pussy, because they can't go out to New York City and get pussy from fire in that firefighter area, because then women used to more money. They can't do it. They can't go out there and I mean, they might get lucky from time to time. It's just because they're a firefighter and that woman just has low self-esteem because she doesn't think she can get a New York City firefighter. He'll get lucky from time to time, but then women want them New York City firefighters. Right? So that Indianapolis firefighter better stay in Coho County and clean up on pussy out there. That's how it works. It's always been that. The passport bro thing, women are just focused on passports bros because women can't do the same thing. Because if a man wants to upgrade a woman, he can just go buy another woman. Because that's woman's nature. She's a prostitute by nature. If a man wants to upgrade woman, he can just go work and buy another woman. Whereas women can't go, I wanna upgrade a man. She cannot go buy another man. Right? Woman is stuck with whatever she has biologically or surgically. That's it. Because men don't care about her money like that. See, a woman is not, see, the same woman, let's say, who tried to make fun of you for wanting to leave the country. She cannot go wherever you go and upgrade. Right? Right. That woman in America, she can't go to the Philippines or Czech Republic or wherever the fuck and upgrade. She can't do it like that. She can't go there and do that. Right? Because that country's beneath her. See, there's a reason why American, British, Australian women, see, these women ain't coming out to Eastern Europe and the Philippines looking for a man. See, their dream man is not in Ukraine or Serbia, no shit. See, a Czech woman. Yeah, let's even with the context of Europe and the money. See, a Czech woman is not searching for her dream man in Serbia at all, because Serbia is poor. That's why. See, a Czech woman's dream man is east and north. She looking over. That's where her dream man is. She's not looking to the east for it. Maybe Slovenia, because Slovenia is a little gangster. But for the most part, a Czech woman is not looking to the east for her dream man. Her dream man don't exist over there. Her dream man exists where the money is. That's her dream. Right? Whereas as a man, our dream woman is whoever's feminine and can take a bath. Now, we don't care what country she's in. She could be living in Antarctica. As long as she takes that snowsuit off and she got a nice shapely ass, well, that's my dream woman. And she's feminine and not combative, that's my dream woman. She could be living in a fucking cave. She could be living in Chile. She could be living in Hawaii. She could be living in Barbados. As long as she's got a nice figure on her, she could take a bath and she's feminine and not combative, that's my dream woman. Don't matter where she is. And see, woman can't do that. That's why she's mad. That's why women try to make fun of men for doing it and all that, because she can't do it, because her nature is so disgusting. She can't do it. She has to gold dig and prostitute. It's her nature. Now, on the flip side, let's say like a Ukrainian woman's dream man could be a Czech man, right? A Ukrainian's dream man could be a German man. He could be a French man. He could be a British man. He could be an American man. Maybe not so much an Argentinian man, because they make about the same amount of money. Her dream man is not a Chilean man, a Brazilian. No, they make about the same money. That's not her dream. She ain't jumping out of bed for that. She ain't brushing her hair for that. She'll jump out of bed and brush her hair for that West. Right. That's what the nature. It's always been that. It's always been. It's always been that at the core. Women do not travel to find a dream man. Men travel to find a dream woman, but women do not travel to find a dream man unless they travel to a richer country. But by that point, they usually can't afford it because she's stuck with her wages in whatever country she's in. Unless you could find a simp to pay for it. AKA America handed Ukraine all that money. Remember that? Any day now, Ukraine's going to win. Any day now, what happened to that shit? They out there getting destroyed. Ukraine is out there getting wrecked right now, dude. I talked to somebody I know from Ukraine, and she was telling me all this shit. She tells me now like she don't want to go back, but she has to because the West done forgot about Ukraine. They don't care anymore. She's in the UK right now, and they kicking her out. The West they done lost all interest after America done gave up on them for the most part. Then Britain followed right up in line, like, yep, y'all gotta go. Goodbye. You remember that 2 years ago? Any day now, Ukraine's gonna win. Any day now, Slava Ukrainia, Slava Ukrainia. They gonna win any day now. Yeah, what happened to all that shit? Doofy motherfuckers. And America went up and they had American men fucking flying out there to go fight in a war because they ain't got nothing to fight for back home because they trying to get some Ukrainian pussy, thinking they was slick. Motherfucker, you done risked your life for a losing battle. That shit ain't even a war, it's a battle. Any day now, yeah. What happened any day now? Call Ukraine and ask them, what happened any day now? Where all that money go? Like I said 2 years ago, that money was gone 10 seconds after they clicked receive. That shit was gone. That shit disappeared. They don't like your America simped the hell out of that shit. The They drink that Kool-Aid the hard. Because they don't know how Europe works with that dynamic like that. Europeans know how it works, but Americans didn't know that. So they fell for that shit. They just seen white women in trouble and dropped everything they was doing. Here, you want my house, you want my car, you want my life, here you go. Any day now. And what's that motherfucker's name? Vladimir? Yep, any day now. He was just filling your head up with bullshit. with that little green shirt on. If he was here, he'd be laughing with me because he know that's what he did. Philly was gassing America up with that shit. Hey, retarded motherfuckers flying out there. They go fighting a war, fighting a battle. I wouldn't call it a battle, man. Like, I said it back then, I say it now. They should have just gave up. I said it back then, and I said it now. Just give that shit up, dude. You ain't gonna win that. And it's not worth it to even fight for it. I said it back then, and I'm saying it now. Give up. Now y'all done get people done died. All these people done died and fucked up because you trying to hold on to this country that was literally ranked the most corrupt country in Europe for decades. And Lord Jesus Christ, why? Just give it up. Just give it up. Well, you didn't. Now America, they done lost all that money. Britain done lost all that money. All these countries, now the rent done went up like crazy after COVID. Then they gave them all their money, trying to look better for America and Britain, so they can ask money from them later. And now the rent in Prague done almost doubled. Rent in America done tripled, trying to make up the payments. Trying to make up all this shit by funding Europe after Europe went ahead and Germany pulled the trigger and donated first, even though it was against the law. And guess what? In Germany had some money, but Germany did that shit to look good for other countries. And so then the America came back up in line, and after that, now you got Czech Republic offering to house them out here. And guess what it did? It ran up the price because that money went many different ways that people didn't know. Like, for example, with the rent payments in Czech Republic, even to this day. Yesterday, I just seen a Ukrainian dude drive down the street in a new Mercedes Benz because they getting them government payments and they getting their rent subsidized and they getting money to send their kids to school to learn. You want to know why? Okay, you want to know why? Because above my friend's studio, there's a school up here that's teaching Ukrainian kids, and every time I go in there, we talk about it. And he's not the most, of course, like most Czechs, when you get them talking about that Ukrainian shit, oh, they'll let loose about that. They tired of them being here. I don't have a problem with them because they just people, but I understand the frustration. Okay? I can understand it. Any day now. Remember that? Any day now. And the Ukrainian women left Ukraine by the bus lines. Any day now. Remember that silly shit? Motherfuckers everywhere. They're like, yeah, they're good. They're just right next to victory. Remember all that shit motherfucker was talking everywhere. Every social media, everybody. They about to win. Yeah. No, fam. They not gonna win at all. Now, to be fair, I did think that Putin might have pulled out. And I was the severe minority because I thought since the world heard about it, they weren't gonna let him get away with that. Now, and I remember saying that. I thought there was a chance he might pull out because times have changed. The world's seen what he did. 20 years ago, he would have just did it and nobody would have known, and Ukraine just would have been part of Russia. That just would have been it, right? 20 years ago, before the internet happened, word of mouth didn't spread like that. Internet wasn't a thing. Russia just would have just took Ukraine and wouldn't have said a word, and we just would have been seen updated maps. Yeah, this is part of Russia now, and that just would have been it, right? And you would have had Ukrainians sneaking out saying, no, they was here, they killed us and all that, and we would have been like, yeah, whatever, y'all just part of Russia now, and that's how history usually worked, right? It's just in those crazy Ukrainians' head that Russia did it. They're just crazy. Look, they're happy. Yeah. It's just in the crazy Ukrainians' head. That's 20 years ago. That's what would have happened. Now we got internet and Facebook and shit, so people can spread the news. So motherfuckers knew what happened. Now people just flat out show that they just don't care, which is even more fucked up, right? I think it's even more fucked up because the people who was swearing they cared and was throwing rallies for them and putting fake advertisements on the internet saying that they was rallying all in Prague all week when I was walking down those streets all week and didn't see one goddamn rally or one sign of no damn rally. They did have a couple rallies, but they completely they lied about a lot of that shit because they knew Americans wouldn't know. But I knew because I'm American and I live here and I take my son down. Well, in fact, my son wasn't born yet, but even then I walked because where they was holding. I'll show you where they was holding the rallies. Because my friend's shop is right here. It was down in Law Square. Right now, they did have some rallies here. There was I want to say there was one or two, but they were trying to say it like it was happening like all day and all night, all up and down this street, right? And now there were a couple, but it wasn't like what they were trying to show on the internet, and they was lying to y'all. Because I would be like literally there at that time. I could even verify. I think I even showed my girl the actual time step of when something was. There was one rally where they said it took place and it was in Prague. And I said, look, no, I was at Adrian's shop at that time because she texted me when I was with Adrian. And I was literally right down the street and there was no sign of any riot or not riot, but meeting or anything. Like they were lying to motherfuckers hard. But they know Americans won't know because they're in America. They don't, they'll just lie and say shit to get more attention on Czech Republic, to get more aid, right? These types of things. And that's how these things work. But if you're like a dude like Thomas Sowell or these kind of guys who just read everything from a book, you'll be severely confused on this shit and wouldn't have ever known this, right? Unless you got somebody like me telling you, right? Because books are good, but you can't live your life completely on a book. But yeah, I'm getting out of here. It's 10:49. Y'all have a good day, eat a night, and thanks for the donations, like, subscribe, comments, anything. I'm out of here. Y'all have a good night.